Good morning, Conscious crew members. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. It is your favorite breakdown commentator, Consciouztv or CTV, better known in these streets. Good morning, happy hump day. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, productive, safe, holy, and sanctified as prosperous cup overflow with ass Wednesday in the name of Black Jesus. I'm coming to you guys because I'm up early in the morning, rummaging through the world. My dude just had a biopsy that went successful. He was extremely nervous about the procedure, and he did amazing, and everything went fine. And so now I'm here. I wanted to get into this very tragic incident that took place in Buffalo regarding 10 innocent melanated folk who lost their lives because a mayonnaise man had lost his everlasting motherfucking mind. I guess the lice just finally had bit down to the follicle girl and drove this whole completely fucking nuts. So mayonnaise privilege at its top tier and most deadliest. And I'm sure you guys who do not sleep under a rock have already been watching the news and seeing the coverage of this. And so I just want to get some coverage myself, make a few points, get into a few things that I find to be very interesting. And I'll probably also drop the link as well and allow you guys up to do your thizzle. Before we get into the minutia of this commentary, and I'm eating, so forgive me or don't forgive me. Give me a nasty piece of thumbs up because you guys already know that this helps with YouTube's algorithm. And speaking of thumbing up the video, thank you guys so much for actually thumbing up the videos lately because we are growing accordingly. I want to shout out all of the new subbies. We have hit 33.2K, which I realized the number had jumped up after last night's commentary and review on Bad Boys LA season 1 episode 9. So shout out to everybody who is finding the platform and supporting the platform. And this is one of the most amazing ways you guys can support the platform is by liking, thumbing up a video. Also, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe because if I like it, you're going to absolutely love it. Duh. And Everybody need to make sure that they have their notification bell set to all, because you never know what day or hour the king will be kinging. I could be kinging with you during breakfast. I could be kinging with you, girl, doing first shift. I could be kinging with you on your way to a dick appointment, on your way to church, so you can ask the Lord for forgiveness for attending that dick appointment successfully. You never know when the king is going to be kinging. Okay. So, you got to have your notification bell set to all, child. And if you don't mind, please share. I will be coming back to you guys later on today. We have some pop culture commentary to get into as well. Some Jocelyn Hernandez commentary, girl. We got some Jamal Bryan and Kevin Samuels commentary to get into as well. So you guys will be seeing me at least 2 more times before the day is out. And with no further ado, girl, let's go ahead and move into it, period.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So before we get deep off, girl, let me go ahead and speak to the chat. Let me scroll all the way up, make my way down, get into some things. Hey, Queen Barbara, what's going on, love? You guys make sure to go ahead and follow and support and subscribe to Apartments Available in New York City, honey. I know that Miss Barbara gives y'all a tough time, but she has a pure of heart, okay? She just, she a little radical, but pure of heart nonetheless. Good morning, Jessica M. Hey, love. Hey, boo. What's going on, Auntie Trisha? You guys also make sure to subscribe to my auntie, honey. She over in the YouTube space, girl, singing the earth into a goddamn harmony, baby. So make sure that y'all go over there and hear that magnificent voice, girl, that God has blessed the auntie with. Good morning, Rwanda Green. Good morning, Lady Bell. What's going on? Humboldt Pie. Humboldt Pie. What's going on, boo? Good morning, Ebony Adams. Hey, Miss B. What's going on? Jordana. A day stream, I know, right? Y'all know I must be good and rested and in the mood, honey. What's going on, Roy Manning? Hey, boo. What's going on, Cheryl J? Hey, love. What's going on, Singletary for Life? Haven't seen you over here in a minute. At the correct word, domestic errorism. I got to pronunciate some of these words kind of weird so that YouTube bots and shit don't, act a damn fool, because they love to shadow ban certain conversations. So we have to get sometimes very creative. It's okay if y'all write stuff like that, but in terms of us saying it, we have to say it in all type of crazy and encoded ass ways, like we speak in parables and shit, because Google be trying to censor shit like that, especially on the YouTube platform, which is a lot more loose than Facebook, which is heavily censored at this point. That's why I don't even use Facebook no more. Good morning, Holistic Attorney. What's going on, Will? What's going on, y'all? Damn, I done fucked up. Hold on, y'all. What's going on, Coach Leslie? Hey, love. Good morning, sugar, and thank you so much. Thank you, love. What's going on, Amelia? Hey, boo. What's going on? Hey, Theo. Yes, call it what it is. People need to acknowledge the truth and not use the lone wolf BS. They always like to throw. Oh my God. Good morning, Theo. I would love for you to hit the link when I drop the link, Theo, so stick around. And welcome to the platform. Hope you are subscribed today. Oh my God. That dick appointment thing. What's going on, Doris Delaney? Hey, good morning, love. Hey, Classy Queen, my other beautiful mod. I'm going to respond back to you today, Classy Queen. I have not forgot about what you asked me about on Instagram, boo. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Mo Love, good morning. What's going on, Joyce? Hey, blessed, booked, and busy. Ain't we blessed? Ain't we booked? And baby, we damn show is busy. Period. What's going on, Denzel William? Good morning, sir. Good morning. What's going on, Miss D10? Hi. Good morning, me. 000454. Oh, come on, 6 digits, honey. Oh, value. Oh, high value woman, honey. Oh, 6-figure bad bitch, baby. I ain't married. What's going on, Bobby Shane? Shanae, Bobby Shanae. All I know is I needed a chocolate stick to rock my world. You know what I mean? Oh my God, somebody doing the most. Getting how y'all get started this early, honey? Y'all just get started on a trolling this hard in the morning, girl. Wink Sal, good morning, child. Dancing with Nature, good morning, boo. What's going on? Car Fab Key, Kafab Key. I probably don't fuck that up. Good morning, child. And Bitty Mama, I've been subscribed. Oh my, I didn't know that. Y'all be bush babies like a motherfucker. Okay, so let me, child. Y'all, I'm glad y'all dropping out the bushes these days, child. Get up out of them bushes, baby. The only person who belong in the bushes is Milan. Christopher, if you're nasty, okay? So this is who we're here to talk about this morning, you guys. Heart of Inspiration. Hey, love, what's going on, babes? Once again, I will be dropping the link, you guys, and also make sure to go and subscribe over to Heart of Inspiration, girl. She gives us, this is our residential astrologer, girl, anthropologist, girl, businesswoman, honey. There is nothing that this woman can't and doesn't and isn't damn doing, honey. So please make sure that you guys support and subscribe over to my other baby mama, Heart of Inspiration, okay? And I will be dropping a link for you guys to come up to give you guys opinions, because ironically, one of the reasons I'm speaking about this today is because it kind of runs in tandem with the conversation that's been happening on my platform over the past week, but we'll get more into that after we get into the thick of it. What's going on, LeBrian? Good morning, love. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Tia Talk with Shay. Good morning, love. Okay, so this here, you guys, is Payton S. Grendron. What a fucking name. This is even an evil ass last name, girl. Grendron. Sound like a fucking transformer. Psycho serial killer and alt-right domestic terrorist Payton S. Grendron went on a killing spree in a racially motivated attack in a all-black low-income neighborhood, killing 10 innocent melanated folk and injuring others. He was safely apprehended by police, which George Floyd, I wish George Floyd could say the same, girl. But let's talk about the details of this profound tragedy, okay? And we're going to start with a few articles, okay? This is an article from CNN. Hold on. Let me pull up my screen and make sure you guys are liking as you guys are coming in to the sanctuary, honey. Like, okay? So this is going to be the circumstance in a nutshell, girl. This is from CNN, and it's titled, What We Know About the Buffalo Supermarket's Shooting Suspect, Payton Grendron. Move my food out the way, Lord have mercy. It's too early. Too early. Okay, girl. Let me show you. Y'all can see this. Yes, y'all can see it. Okay, so the 18-year-old who allegedly shot and killed 10 people Saturday afternoon in Buffalo, New York, was motivated by hate, authorities said, targeting a supermarket in the heart of a predominantly Black community. 11 of the 13 shot by the white suspect at the Tops Friendly Market were Black, officials said. Among the victims, who range in age from 20 to 86, were people grocery shopping, a heroic former police officer who tried to stop the gunman, a long-term substitute teacher, and a taxi driver who took pride in helping other people. My God. This was pure evil, Erie County Sheriff John Garcia said, calling the shooting a straight-up racially motivated hate crime from somebody outside of our community. The U.S. Department of Justice is investigating the shooting as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated violence extremism, according to Attorney General Merrick Garland. Payton S. Grendron of Conklin, New York, has been charged with first-degree murder. Erie County District Attorney John Flynn said in a Saturday news release he has pleaded not guilty and more charges are expected and should be. Grendron's defense attorney told CNN on Tuesday he would not issue a statement now because there ain't nothing that your motherfucking ass can say on period. Here's what we know about the suspect. He planned to continue his rampage, police say. When the suspect arrived at the store around 2:30 p.m., he was heavily armed, wearing tactical gear, including a tactical helmet along with plated armor, Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Grandma Julia said, and had a camera that was live streaming his actions, which I think that live stream has been taken down as of today. When I was listening to the news earlier, he used an assault weapon, Flynn said during a news conference. The suspect shot 4 people outside of the grocery store, 3 fatally, Flynn said in his news release. When he entered the store, he exchanged fire with an armed security guard who authorities said was a retired Buffalo police officer. Wow. The security guard died of his injuries. The suspect shot 8 more people in the store, 6 of whom died, the release said. Confronted by police, the suspected shooter took off some of his technical gear and surrendered, per Buffalo police. Now, little segue. He was about to commit a homicide-suicide because apparently when police showed up, Mr. Grendron had actually put the gun to his up under his chin and was going to commit a suicide after this homicidal spree. But police were able to talk him down and safely apprehend him, probably go take him to Starbucks, probably pull around to McDonald's, get him a chicken nugget basket, and all that good shit like they did Dylan Roof, the Charleston massacre shooter. The suspect planned to continue his shooting rampage beyond the top supermarket. I hate this man's last name. The officer told CNN on Monday, saying that there was some documentation he allegedly planned to target another large superstore. My God. There was evidence that was uncovered that he had plans, had he gotten out of here, to continue his rampage and continued shooting people, he said. The suspect made very disturbing statements describing his motive and state of mind following his arrest. An official familiar with the investigation told CNN those statements were clear and filled with hate toward the Black community, with the alleged shooter making it known he was targeting Black people, the official said. The alleged shooter was studying previous hate attacks and shootings. Investigators have learned via search warrants and other methods. The suspect was in Buffalo on Friday, the day before the shooting, per officer who said he was doing reconnaissance at the store. Chanel Harris Teague, an operations manager at the store, saw him Friday afternoon at the store and told him to leave because it appeared he was bothering customers, she told ABC News. Harris Teague saw the suspect sitting on a bench outside with a camper bag on his back, wearing the same camouflage clothing he wore Saturday, she told ABC. After being asked to leave, he did so without argument, she said. Her brother, the Reverend Tim Newkirk, backed up the account, noting the suspect was in there posing as a beggar and was looking for change, he told the Buffalo News. Wow. Quote, she had to politely escort him out. They have a no peddling policy in the Tops, no panhandling, Newkirk said. Quote, so she was just letting him know that this was not the place where you do that. He spent months plotting an attack, social media posts saw. So before I go further, another segue. So apparently he had been scoping Tops for a while because some of the store employees said that he also came into the store about a month and a half prior to the shooting. And one white patron of the store recounted him even coming up to her and saying that you don't belong here. And this was a month and a half prior to the shooting. He spent months plotting his attack, social media posts show. Grendron is believed to have visited Buffalo in early March, officer said Monday, citing the suspect's digital footprint. Social media posts analyzed by CNN revealed the suspect visited the Top store in March and had been extensively planning his attack for several months up until the day of the shooting. According to the post, which Grendron originally shared on Discord, then on the hate-filled online forum 4chan, the suspect drove March 8th to the supermarket in Buffalo. The posts were made visible to a small group of people about 30 minutes before the shooting began, according to a statement from Discord. Wow. Grendron wrote in his post that he went into Top's Market 3 times during his visit at 12 p.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. He wrote about activity inside the store each time he went in, noting how many Black and white people were in the market and also drawing a map of the inside of the store. During his 4 p.m. visit, Gendron was approached by a black armed security guard who asked the suspect what he was doing going in and out of the store, he wrote. The shooter told the security guard he was collecting consensus data. Wow, according to the Post. In hindsight, that was a close call, Gendron wrote. In a post on March 10th, Gendron wrote, I'm going to have to kill that security guard at Tops. I hope he doesn't kill me or even hurt me instantly. The shooter wrote about how he planned his attack for March 15th, but then delayed it several times. In the post, Gendron cites online research in choosing Buffalo as his site of attack, saying that the 14208 zip code in Buffalo has a higher black population than the other locations he was considering. The shooter considered attacking a church, or an elementary school, but ultimately chose the supermarket because of the number of black people that go to the grocery stores, he wrote. He referred to Google's Popular Times graph for the Tops friendly market in determining the time he would plan his attack so the grocery store would be busiest. Discord said that a private invite-only server was created by the suspect and that approximately 30 minutes prior to the attack, a small group of people was invited to and joined the server. Quote, before that, our records indicate no other people saw the diary chat log in this private server, it said in a statement to CNN. Quote, our deepest sympathies are with the victims and their families, the company said. Hate has no place on Discord, and we are committed to combating violence and extremism. We are continuing to do everything we can to assist law enforcement, and the investigation remains ongoing. CNN asked the Discord spokesperson when the company became aware of Gendron's post and if any of the individuals were invited to view his private server, alerted moderators to the content, but did not receive an immediate response. CNN also reached out to 4chan asking about Gendron's post being shared on the platform, but has not heard back. Documents talk about dwindling size of white population. Get to this. Investigators are sifting for clues in a 180-page document attributed to Gendron and posted online, Flynn said. The purported manifesto allegedly was written by the suspect, officials have said. Quote, we are obviously going through with a fine-tooth comb and reviewing that for all evidence that may lead us to besides the manifesto itself, Prosecutor Flynn told CNN. Quote, all the evidence that was ascertained from the manifesto, from wherever that manifesto leads us, other pieces of evidence we already had, we can then use that and develop more charges potentially, he said. The document, independently obtained by CNN shortly after the attack and before authorities released the suspect's name, is allegedly written by a person claiming to be Payton Grendron, confessing to the attack. The authorities attribute the internet for most of his beliefs and describes himself as a fascist, a mayonnaise supremacist, and an anti-Semite. Go. The author brought ammo for some time, but didn't get serious about planning the attack until January. Per the document, the author also writes about his perceptions of the dwindling size of the white population and claims of ethnic and cultural replacement of whites. The suspect allegedly chose to attack the top store in Buffalo because it was in a majority black zip code within driving distance of where he lived, and he researched what time it would be busiest. Damn, according to the documents. He's from a town hours away from Buffalo. The zip code that includes the store 14208 is 78% black, the highest percentage of black population of any zip code in upstate New York. Per the Census Bureau's 2020 American Community Survey, Conklin, where the suspect is from, is a 3.5-hour drive from Buffalo. Gendron's parents were not known to hold extremist views, according to 2 New York residents who have worked with his parents at the State Department of Transportation and who shared their views on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the situation. Quote, I never thought of the family as racist or hateful, said one coworker who said she was heartbroken for the victims' families, as well as Payton's parents, Pam and Paul. Quote, I can't wrap my head around this tragedy. Gendron was a worker at the local Conklin Reliable Market for about 4 months before he left about 3 months ago, the store's owner said, adding he was very quiet and left on his own terms, given 2 weeks' notice. Gendron's mother regularly walked in the neighborhood Neighbors said she was a nice woman. One said, adding, they never would have thought that in a million years, Grendron would have racist views. It's pretty shocking, the neighbor added. When you talk to Payton Grendron, you wouldn't get more than a word or two from him, another neighbor said. Grendron's former classmate said while he could sometimes be a loner and odd, he wasn't known to be violent. Quote, I just don't understand what convinced him to do this, said Bryce Gibbs, who said he attended elementary through high school with Gendron and described him as nice. You know, here's the thing. Do I believe that all extremists and mayonnaise supremacists are groomed by family and that this stuff is, that this racism is transferred generationally? No. I think that a lot of times, hold on, you guys, actually, for 1 minute, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to put my phone on the charger. But I think living in this day and age of social media, I think a lot of people are finding very bizarre and fucked up demonic ass ways to create purpose in their life. And I think that social media and social media clout and sensationalism has given people the space to be able to kind of entertain these very like demonic fantasies that I think are given birth to out of loneliness, very low emotional IQ, and an extreme and profound lack of identity. I think that Grendron obviously knew that he would be sensationalized just like any other supremacist, like any other extremists. And it's just really sad that this is what a deplorable emotional state would be satisfied with having as a fucking legacy. It's nuts. Hold on one more time, you guys. Okay, so let's continue with the article. He made generalized threat at high school. Grendron made a generalized threat in June while he attended, girl, what the hell? Susquehanna Valley Central High School in Coquitlam, officers said Sunday, adding, the threat was not racially motivated. State police took the student for a mental health evaluation. Officer said at a Buffalo News conference after a day and a half he was released. The suspect was visited last year by New York State Police after he did a high school project about murder-suicides. Garcia told CNN on Monday concerns about alleged mental health issues were brought to light after he turned in the post-graduation project, the sheriff said. State police spokesperson Beau Duffy said that on June 8, 2021, state police officers responded to the high school to investigate a report that a 17-year-old student made a threatening statement. The student was taken into custody under NYS Mental Health Law Section 9.41 and transported to a hospital for a mental health evaluation. Duffy confirmed it was an evaluation and not an involuntary commitment, so it would not have prevented the suspect shooter from purchasing or possessing a gun under federal law. State police were unable to confirm how long the person was in the hospital or the findings of the evaluation. The agency also refused to name the then 17-year-old. Wow. The suspect addressed the incident in post on Discord later, shared on 4chan, writing in a post dated January 30th that he had to go to a hospital's ER because I said the words murder-suicide to an online paper in economics class. I got out of it, the suspect claims, because I stuck with the story that I was getting out of class, and I just stupidly wrote that down. That is the reason I believe I am still able to purchase guns. Wow, very manipulative. The suspect goes on to claim his mental health evaluation lasted only 15 minutes after he spent hours waiting in the emergency room. CNN has reached out to New York State Police about the account. Broome County District Attorney Michael Korchak, the district attorney in the suspect's hometown, is reviewing all aspects of last year's investigation into the threat and also going back several years to understand the suspected shooter's behavior and relationships with family, teachers, and other students. But, quote, it's hard to say whether more should have been done in June, Korchak told CNN. Quote, unfortunately, this is nothing new in the criminal justice system. It damn sure ain't. Korchak said, quote, individuals that have mental health issues may have it under control for a period of time, and then one day they just snap and things as tragic as this happens. Investigators are talking to the suspect's parents and they are being cooperative, Korchak said. Gun was legally purchased, governor says. The gun used in the mass shooting was purchased legally in New York. Governor Kathy Hochul told CNN earlier, describing the weapon as an AR-15. It's believed the high-capacity magazine was purchased out of state, the governor added. In addition to the AR-15, Grendron had a rifle and a shotgun in his car, officers said. The online diatribe attributed to Grendron said it planned to bring those same three types of guns with him that day. This is how the suspect legally obtained those guns. The main firearm Grendron planned to use was a Bushmaster XM15 assault rifle that he brought from Vintage Firearms, a gun store in Endicott, New York, before illegally modifying it, according to the diatribe. Grendron passed a background check before he brought the gun, and he didn't stick out among his other customers. Vintage Firearms owner Robert Donald told the New York Times, no one at the store has responded to CNN's requests for comments. Grendron also brought a Mossberg 15 shotgun from Pennsylvania Guns and Ammo, a store in Great Bend, about a 10-minute drive across the state border from his hometown in Conklin. The racist document attributed to him states the suspect passed a background check at the store and legally purchased a shotgun in December 2021. The store owner, who did not want his name used, told CNN the shotgun was not used in Saturday's shooting. The third gun was a Savage Assets XP rifle that Grendron's father brought him for Christmas in 2020, quote, so that I could go hunting without borrowing my cousin's guns, the document states. The racist statement also says the shooter planned to use the shotgun and rifle to shoot other Black people on the street as he drove away from the supermarket. CNN obtained a photo of two long guns allegedly brought to the scene. The photo was confirmed by two law enforcement sources. And here are those weapons that have all type of racial slurs on them, including the N-word, etc. The image shows the weapons inside a car, which was found by law enforcement after the suspect's arrest, according to one of the law enforcement sources. The weapons were not used in the shooting. Writing appears all over the weapons, including the phrase, mayonnaise lives matters, and names including what appears to be the name of a victim of a crime allegedly committed by a Black suspect. So he also had mayonnaise folk who had died at the hands of Black and brown people written on this weapon. I guess this was going to be his avenge the mayonnaise community weapon of choice. Other notions seized by investigators reflect the racist beliefs of the shooter as well as his obsession with mass killing, according to a law enforcement source. He also allegedly live streamed on Twitch. Baby, social media is just wow. The shooting suspect used the popular live streaming platform Twitch to stream a live broadcast during the attack, the company confirmed Saturday. So not only was he on Discord with the shits, he was also on Twitch with his bald-headed hoe shit. The company was devastated to hear about the shooting, and it said, adding the user, quote, has been indefinitely suspended from our service, and we are taking all appropriate action, including monitoring for any accounts rebroadcasting this content. CNN obtained a portion of the live stream showing the alleged shooter pulling up to a top store. The video is recorded from the point of view of the alleged shooter as he drives into the supermarket's parking lot. The person is seen in the rearview mirror wearing a helmet and is heard saying, quote, just got to go for it, before he pulls into the front of the store. In the video, store patrons can be seen walking through the parking lot as the suspect drives up. The company removed the live stream less than 2 minutes after the violence started, a spokesperson for Twitch said. The company did not immediately respond to follow-up questions about whether the suspect was firing when the live stream was halted. He will likely face more charges. The suspect pleaded not guilty to one count of first-degree murder Saturday evening before Buffalo City Court Chief Judge Craig Hanna, according to the judge and the district attorney's new release. If convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole, the release said, period. Grendron's attorney's request for a mental health forensic examination was withdrawn, Flynn said. Gendron remains on suicide watch, Garcia said, and is in custody without bail. There may be more charges coming, officials said. Quote, my office is working closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office and our partners in law enforcement into potential terrorism and hate crimes. This is an active investigation and additional charges may be filed, Flynn said. Grendron is set to return to court Thursday morning for a felony hearing, the release said. He is likely the most highly visible incarcerated individual in the country, Garcia told CNN on Monday. There are video cameras in his cell, and he remains under a sheriff's deputy's watch at all times. So that is all of that, you guys, in a fucking nutshell. Marshall W. Gordon said, this is why I say there has to be some unity, there has to be some structure, there has to be some stability amongst us melanated folk. I completely agree with that. Theo says, these social media platforms want to monitor and surveil everything else, but when it comes to things like this, it's hands off all of a sudden. Makes you wonder. Let me tell you what's interesting about that, Theo, is that social media reminds me a lot of our criminal justice system, whereas in the most heinous and insane and inappropriate and menacing of behavior actually is unreported and undealt with on a lot of these social media platforms all over the board. And it's really a shame that regardless of the community guidelines that these platforms have, lots of these networks, institutions do not reinforce their own fucking guidelines. Similarly, the New York domestic terrorist who had executed that terrorist attack in the train station in New York, he had been a YouTuber for a long time. He was adjacent to apparently the Dr. Umar sector. And a lot of his talking points and his energy, he left a lot of blues clues behind his YouTube channel, which I believe is still up. And it wasn't until they apprehended this man and began to peel back the layers that they found that he had kind of been on edge for a very, very, very long time. So it's just very wild how these people really be out in broad daylight. They be out in the open on social media with all their crazy shit. And I don't know whether we are desensitized to so much antics and so many shenanigans that we don't even properly discern the difference between people who are actually really unstable and people who are being performative. But either way, social media largely does not do anything about a lot of the fuck shit that goes on. Holistic Attorney says that Facebook used to be hands off with mayonnaise supremacists too. Pretty Poodle says, so we don't, I guess, know if he is a high profile criminal. I hope the camera's cut off and then he be gone, not by his own hands. Either way, if he's going to be stuck behind bars for the rest of his life, that's definitely relieving. That's certainly what the fuck he deserves. Pray for my city. Absolutely, Queen. We definitely are. Simone Chaplin says exactly, just like TikTok, period. Jace, hey, good morning, Jace. The live stream had already been shared before 4chan stopped the live stream. They know this. As of yesterday, you could still find the live stream. My God, today. Baby. Prissy says forgiveness is found with God. I just make the arrangements. Ain't no forgiveness for this. These people were minding their business and living their lives. Absolutely. And that's why you got to stay prayed up and strapped the fuck up. I don't leave my motherfucking house without my Beretta, period. And that motherfucker don't even have a lock on it. I will shoot through my motherfucking sling bag. That's on period. I don't give a damn whether I'm going to the 7-Eleven. I don't give a damn whether I'm going to the shopping mall. I don't give a damn whether I'm going to the post office. I don't give a damn whether I'm commuting to grandma's house in a bitch's Uber. I don't give a damn. I carry always, everywhere, bitch. In the words of Johnson, I go everywhere prepared for the apocalypse. Because I don't put nothing past this damn world. I ain't going to be afraid to live my life, but I'm also not going to walk around this world like the devil ain't out roaming and looking for whom it can devour. So I really suggest that all melanated folk, please, y'all got to strap up. As you guys even see here in this article, these mayonnaise folk be giving their fucking children's guns and weapons and rifles at 13, 12, and 9 years old under the guise of teaching them how to hunt. So we as a community, we need to, rightfully so, legally so, go and obtain not no mace, not no baton, not no bat, but we need to go get us a piece of steel, okay, and get registered, and we need to carry on our persons and our vehicles, because had our people been up on game, had our people act like we got open enemies, okay, we already got anti-black melanated folk within a community who terrorizing our communities, but then we have open enemies outside of ourselves as well. And between both of those damn enemies, none of us, especially those of us who live in predominantly black neighborhoods, where you are very familiar with the fire truck in the distance, the sirens in the distance, the gunshots in the distance, you need to be strapped up. Need to be strapped up, because you never know what day or damn hour. And imagine had somebody, aside from the officer, the retired officer in the top store, would have been armed, because this guy pulled into the parking lot and started his shooting spree in the parking lot. Imagine had there been a patron in their vehicle, you know, about to pull out, who was witnessing this going on, who possibly could have fatally injured, killed, shot, dead this motherfucker before he even got into the stove. Like, we need to get our shit together. This country is not necessarily for us, and everybody who live next door to us ain't our neighbor. And I just hate that this type of stuff has to keep on fucking happening, and yet black people want to go pray to white Jesus about it and become subdued and live out their fantasy of a peaceful ass world. It ain't been peaceful yet. And any little bit of peace we do have, we've got to constantly fight for that shit, because the reality is it ain't there organically. We need to be training. We need to be teaching our children about the reality of being black and brown in this country. We need to be teaching our children about tactical warfare, mutual combat, teach them how to effectively defend themselves. We need to organize in our communities. We need to fundraise. We need to have our own coalitions, our own Black Panthers, our own policing in our communities. We need to be armed and motherfucking dangerous too, and dare a bitch to come and try it. Whether you live 5 minutes away or 5 hours away, bitch. That's another story for another day. Uncle Clyde's Grown Folks channel. What's going on, Unc? He might have gotten Red Lobster for killing. Yep, a period, right? These motherfuckers be going to get their amazing cuisine on their way to the penitentiary, this court needs to do more. I'm sorry, this man laid everything out. Monitoring these chats would have saved people's lives. What the family need to do is open up a lawsuit. All the families of victims, even the victims who survived, because I'm sure they surviving with PTSD, and all type of post-trauma as a result of this shit, they need to openly sue all of these social media fucking networks because of their negligence, their gross negligence, resulted in this thing not being able to be stopped sooner than later. Open up an old nasty $50 billion ass lawsuit and start holding these social media platforms accountable for the shit that they allow. Hot Stepper says, I find that when a mayonnaise person does something like this, they call it mental. Always, honey. Always, you know. It's the lone wolf narrative. It's the mentally unstable. You know, we don't get the same terminology like thug, delinquent, criminal, terrorist. They don't want to douse none of these mayonnaise folk with none of this harsh language, honey. Only immigrants, foreigners, and melanated folk. But these white folks, but see, you got to understand, mayonnaise folk really believe inherently that mayonnaise folk are virtuous. So if something goes wrong, it's just because something happened to have gone wrong. It's not that there's any real evil there. It's not that there's anything really nefarious. Just a bad day. Just circumstances. Just poverty. You know, it was the trauma from his parents divorcing. You know, it was just you know, it was the blame always goes to everything outside of the mayonnaise person. And that's because mayonnaise folk control the narrative, and of course they are going to believe that they are inherently good. Fuck mental health evaluation. If you were a melanated man, we would not have this. We know what would have happened is they probably took him to McDonald's for a meal. That's what I said, Jace. Sad because melanated folk with actual mental health get killed in police custody every day. Yet this maniac is shown pity. Always. That being said, I also want to hear I forgive you. I don't want to hear I forgive you from any of the family members of the people he killed. Forgiveness is for our family, not our enemies. My God. Good shit there, Unc. Theo says he did a project about what? These people literally do that ish out in the open, and then their mayonnaise neighbors say, we had no idea. It's the negligence for me. The school system, you know, and I know that, like, these mental health evaluations, you know, that's all that they are half the times. It's not like they can throw people away just because they say crazy shit per se. They do have to document it, archive it, and submit a person to a evaluation. But if they don't find anything, if they don't find anything alarming, they have to throw those people back to the pond. And it's just a shame. But, you know, you guys read here in the article, he manipulated the whole evaluation. You know, he just told them that, you know, he was just basically seeking attention, trying to get out of class, intentionally trying to be disruptive, et cetera, et cetera. And because, like you heard from his neighbors and his peers, he didn't have a history of being violent. He wasn't somebody who was constantly getting suspended, expelled, nothing like that. He wasn't necessarily a problem child. He was just quiet, a little weird. But, you know, aside from that, so for the most part, he had a clean background. So there was nothing to back up them taking further action, etc. But I wonder what the parents said, you know, when they got word that their child did this crazy ass, Freddy Krueger ass school project. Like, I wonder what was the conversation, girl, because even they're claiming to be shocked. Oh, we're so shocked by him being a racist. How were you shocked? Did the school not notify y'all about the school project? Was there not a whole conversation? Like, it ain't like he just popped up. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand. But let's continue to read some things, because you guys also saw that he purchased all of his guns legally because he had a clean background check, etc. Okay, so let's read this part here one more time. Suspect was evaluated, not involuntarily committed. Garcia, the Erie County Sheriff, said the Buffalo shooting suspect was visited last year by New York State police officer after he turned in a high school project about murder-suicides. The state police arrived at his house at that point last year, Garcia said. He stayed at a facility. I'm not sure if it was a hospital or mental health facility for a day and a half. Beau Duffy, a spokesperson for the New York State Police, said that the troopers transported the student to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. He confirmed that it was an evaluation and not an involuntary commitment, so it would not have prevented Grendron from purchasing a gun under federal law. New York State police officials also did not seek a red flag order of protection against Grendron after the incident, which could have been another way to prevent him from purchasing a gun. State police declined to comment on why they didn't seek a red flag order. Well, they didn't because he's mayonnaise. This is mayonnaise privilege. And because mayonnaise people hold a subconscious belief that they are inherently virtuous, they allow so many passes because they really believe in their own inherent goodness. So they let a lot of dangerous ass mayonnaise folk walk the streets and to leave police custody and to leave the goddamn psych ward because they're holding a deep, deep subconscious belief that any ill expressed or done by mayonnaise folk is just a result of a bad day and external circumstances. So just let him go. Let him shake it off. Let him go home and get a cup of coffee. He'll wake up brand new. Nothing to see here. Just a kid being a kid, going through teenage bullshit. Have all type of ways to justify their gross negligence. A law enforcement official told CNN the threat was general in nature and did not target the school or anyone in particular and did not specifically mention shooting or firearms. The state's red flag law, also known as the Extreme Risk Protection Order Law, was enacted in 2019 and is designed to prevent anyone who shows signs of being a threat to themselves or others from purchasing or possessing a firearm. According to New York State law, certain clinicians who determine that a patient is likely to engage in conduct that would result in serious harm or to self or others are required to report that to a county health commissioner, who can report that to the state's Division of Criminal Justice Services, which can block people from buying guns and revoke gun permits. Federal law prohibits someone involuntarily committed to a mental health institution from buying a gun. It does not cover someone in a mental institution for observation. A mental institution includes any mental health facility, hospital, or psychiatric ward of a general hospital. New York has relatively strong laws concerning access to firearms by mentally ill people. Data from the FBI's NICS background check database shows that as of December 2021, there were more than 860,000 people blocked from buying a gun due to agitated mental health in New York, the third highest total after California and Pennsylvania. Social media posts by Gendron claim the investigation into his threat of violence last year ended when he says he told investigators his writings were something he stupidly had done. He was attending Susquehanna High School at the time in Cochran last June. In a post dated January 30th, 2022, Gendron wrote, "Another bad experience was when I had to go to a hospital's ER because I said the words murder, suicide to an online paper in economics class." Once again, he claimed he got out of it because I stuck with the story that I was getting out of class and I just stupidly wrote that down. That is the reason I believe I am still able to purchase guns. It was not a joke. I wrote that down because that's what I was planning to do. Jesus, but these people had no way of knowing that, right? They can't see inside a person's damn psyche and know what's sincere and what's not. Gendron also claims that his mental health evaluation lasted 15 minutes after he spent hours waiting in the emergency room. CNN has reached out to New York State Police about this account. Investigators have previously said Gendron's threat was of a general nature and not specific enough to warrant further action. Yeah, and that didn't age well, did it? It didn't age well. And you know what? I'm gonna go further and say that I don't think that the remedy to these things is even in like building more infrastructure. I think we're going to have to really evaluate what the fuck is actually at the root of the evil in this country. Like the root of it. Not more police, not better psychiatric evaluations, but what actually creates the need to do things like this. What's happening in a human's life? What's happening within the society? What stimulations and variables are at work that give rise to these types of fantasies that lead to these type of actions? That's going to be the only way to really clear the land and purge the land of the fuck shit. It's not going to be putting police on every corner. It's not going to be blah, 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 blah. All of these are external remedies to deal with the aftermath of something like this. You have to kill stuff like this at its root. And evil and wickedness has a root. It has a root. And I don't think that we're doing enough, even with all of our resources and technology and progressiveness as a country, to get to the bottom. Of these things. His mayonnaise privilege, let it be a black man, he's going to be hammered out. Excuses, they say playing in our face blatantly. So I want to get into this great replacement manifesto situation that inspired this lice-headed motherfucker to do what he did. This manifesto that they kept mentioning. It's called, this article is from the NPR.org. It's called The Great Replacement Conspiracy Theory Isn't Fringe Anymore, It's Mainstream. A 180-page online screed attributed to the mayonnaise man accused of killing 10 people at a Tops-friendly market in Buffalo on Saturday has brought a once fringe mayonnaise extremist conspiracy theory into the spotlight. The underpinnings of the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which had been iterated on over time to appeal to wider audiences, has penetrated a much more mainstream portion of American society. A recent poll conducted by the Associated Press NORC Center of Public Affairs Research found that 1 in 3 American adults now believes in a version of the replacement theory. Wow, 1 in every 3 adults. Wow. The speed with which this false narrative has tipped into American discourse since a French ethno-nationalist first coined the term roughly a decade ago has stunned even extremism experts who have tracked the spread of hate-filled ideologies. They cite the failure of major social media platforms to effectively moderate such content, the role of Fox News hosts in amplifying these ideas, and the uptake of the conspiracies language by some elected Republican officials. Demographic change. Between 2019 and 2020, the percentage of Americans who identified as mayonnaise only declined by more than 10%, from 72 to 62%. During that same decade, several Western European countries saw record influxes of migrants from Muslim nations. It is against the backdrop of this demographic change that replacement rhetoric has accelerated in recent years. In the U.S., it's often called mayonnaise genocide. In Europe, it's called Eurabia, said Cynthia Miller, professor and director of the Polarization and Extremism Research and Innovation Lab at American University. The baseless theories claim that these population shifts are orchestrated by elite power holders. In the U.S., Miller said mayonnaise nationalists ascribe the plot to the ooze, who they believe are bringing in immigrants and promoting interracial marriage to suppress mayonnaise folk. In Europe, the false narrative blames elite politicians for a growing Muslim population. Miller said that the coining of the term Great Replacement in France marked a key moment in the growth of these beliefs. Quote, "It is unified and really spread online in memes and videos and in a lot of propaganda," she said. "It capitalized on a moment when you're not just reading written propaganda or sharing it in a newsletter or in a small group in a backwoods militia, but it's circulating in these dark online spaces where this Buffalo shooter writes he was exposed and radicalized. From there, the conspiracy theories migrated toward progressively less fringe conservative media platforms," said Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League. Quote, "We have literally watched as ideas that originate on mayonnaise supremacist message boards are like the dark web, the places that are very difficult to get to move," said Greenblatt. "They literally jump to 4chan and 8chan, which are much more accessible. They jump to websites like the Daily Caller or Breitbart, and then they jump to Tucker Carlson's talking points or Laura Ingram's talking points or other AM radio DJs' talking points. And then you have theoretically mainstream Republican politicians repeating some of the stuff. Carlson and Ingraham are Fox News hosts, sanitizing the message. Although the roots of the Great Replacement are firmly planted in the organized mayonnaise supremacist movement, a version of the basic conspiracy has spread amongst a wider swath of Americans with some minor tweaking of language. Matthew Gertz, a senior fellow at Media Matters for America, said that Carson has framed the issue around voter replacement. Quote, "What he says is that the Democrats are importing immigrants and that they are replacing Americans," said Gertz. "But no one should really be confused about what he is trying to do. The specific cases that he's talking about are Central American immigrants. They are immigrants from Africa. They are immigrants from the Middle East." Greenblatt, whose organization has repeatedly called on Fox News to fire Carson, said figures such as Carson have sought language that might be palatable to more Americans and moving away from the mayonnaise nationalist terms like mayonnaise genocide and ooish cabal. They have repackaged the conspiracy as one driven by political partisanship. It has been an intentional effort to take these ideas and to try to sanitize them so they could bring their ideas into mainstream, said Greenblatt. Fox News declined to comment in response to questions from NPR about the role that critics say Carson and Ingraham have played in stoking fears over replacement. Greenblatt, Gertz, and Miller says claims of an orchestrated immigrant invasion have gained legitimacy through the endorsement of some elected Republicans, most notably former President Donald Trump, of course. But they note that the messaging has continued after Trump left office. Quote, "Elise Stefanik has pushed the same thing," said Gertz, referring to the third highest ranking Republican in the U.S. House of Representatives. "This is moving steadily into mainstream Republican politics. How to fight a persuasive conspiracy theory." The document, believed to have been written by the suspected gunman in the Buffalo attack, does not ascribe to his radicalization to Fox News or rhetoric of politicians. Rather, he describes it as taking place on the same internet chat boards that were early to adopt the language of the racist Great Replacement conspiracy theories, such as 4chan. Quote, "Still, I think the spaces and places we should be most worried about," said Miller. Still, Miller and other extremism experts say that the mainstreaming of replacement theory remains alarming. Greenblatt said it isn't enough to condemn the violence because speech that dehumanizes other people, whether blacks, immigrants, or ooze, can inspire violence. Quote, "What I would suggest is that people in positions of authority who have platforms should use those platforms responsibly and call out this kind of ugliness and cease the incitement immediately because it's too dangerous to do otherwise," he said. In the wake of the tragedy, much attention is focusing on whether stricter gun laws might have prevented it, the role of social media, whether the suspected gunman had a history of mental health problems, and whether law enforcement authorities missed early red flags. Quote, But all of that really doesn't make a difference if individuals in the end don't have a basic understanding of the legacy of racism, of structural racism, systemic racism in this country, said Miller. Good point. She said that many young people observe the racial disparities in American society and will seek out answers to them. The document, believed to be linked to the suspect, pulls data from dubious online sources to support spurious claims of biological racism and crime rates. Quote, they may not be talking about it from good academic sources or good learning sources, Miller said, but they're going to be hearing about it in dark online spaces instead. Good morning, Mr. Knockout Media. Tucker Carlson speaks about the CRT all the time, trying to disguise it as immigration worries, and Tucker Carlson is Fox News reporter. This type of hate, though, I feel is planted in them early, like as a baby. This kind of hate doesn't come in adulthood. He was taught to hate us. Jesus Christ. Sack says, when we kill each other, we're going to jail, period. When a side person kills us, they can get off due to mental illness and Big Mama chill. I'm here for conscience, not you. Y'all keep it cute, please. Talking about he was scared of mayonnaise birth rates lowering below other ethnicities. It's insane. And this is the power of religiosity, radicalism, etc. It justifies and stimulates our capacity as humans to be completely insane and fucking irrational. Hell, think about how the Old Testament was used, to literally kill people who were considered sinners, whether that be those who were promiscuous, non-virgin women, disobedient children, lawbreakers, all sorts of fucking criminals. Shit, look at how the Bible itself was used during the dark ages of the church and the Inquisitions. Millions of people throughout Europe hung, burnt at the stake innocently because of people weaponizing an ideology. Lil D Trademark says, I believe the root stems from a lack of control in their day-to-day and they latch on to someone to blame. Similar, to how the Aussies, I gotta scoot around some of these words, blame the ooze after WW1 because the ooze held most of the wealth. Exactly. The Tea Lounge, good morning, darling. What does the so-called replacement theory have to do with those post-menopausal black grannies he shot? Well, because he believes that we're taking up too much space. The replacement theory says that we are outpopulating mayonnaise population, us and immigrants and foreigners, and so lessening us in this space creates more space, more wealth, more power, more room, and more autonomy to be. That racist manifesto creates a perception around kind of believing that Blacks and immigrants are like an infestation, like a roach infestation. And so there needs to be a bombing of the nest. You need to kill every roach in sight. So it garners it stimulates this fear of being snuffed out or being smothered out or being what you call that phobia? A claustrophobia within a society. And I believe that it has a lot to do with what Lil D said about the people who are susceptible to this type of brainwashing and this type of maniacal behavior. If you look into their daily lives and you look into the condition of their emotional state, are people who lack control, people who lack purpose, people who are trying to find meaning in their lives, people who are even trying to find ways to so-called, like, in his mind, he's a hero. In his mind, he was doing the right thing. He thought he was helping his people. You know, this is the underbelly. There's an underbelly to this shit. And it's really people experiencing a profound lack of fucking substance in their lives. I want to also speak about something that I was watching Yusuf this morning as well, and he was speaking about an author who speaks a lot about racial battle fatigue, which I think is appropriate, especially in lieu of all that's transpiring right now. So let's get into this idea. And this is by medium.com, and it's by this article is written by Morgan Taylor Goodwin, and it's called Racial Battle Fatigue. What is it and what are the symptoms? Because I believe that our community is suffering from it largely. Defining racial battle fatigue, what causes it, and what are the symptoms. Racial battle fatigue, also acronymed as RBF, was a term coined in 2003 by social psychologist Dr. William Smith. It was originally used in reference to the experiences of African American men in America, but is now expanded to describe the negative and racially charged experiences of all people of color in the United States. William defines racial battle fatigue as, quote, cumulative result of a natural race-related stress response to distressing mental and emotional conditions. These conditions emerge from constantly facing racially dismissive, demeaning, insensitive, and or hostile racial environments and individuals. Smith described RBF as a public health and mental health illness. Smith believes that racial battle fatigue stems from racism and microaggressions, and in order to view these acts in today's society, one must not look for the gross and obvious, but the subtle, cumulative mini assault is the substance of today's racism. She's talking about overt racism. There's covert, which is the extreme shit we see, like in the case of Grendron, and then there's the subtle, microaggressive, overt racism that you see more systemically. You see it in the criminal justice system through the disproportionate sentencing. You see it in the data regarding business loans and all these things as it relates to Black and brown people trying to accumulate property and wealth. You see it in the discrimination of housing as it relates to Black and brown people needing housing. You know, you see it in these more systemic places. It's not outwardly calling you the N-word. It's not outwardly dressed in KKK clothing. But it's dressed in all of these subtle ways of the discrimination and the assault on Black people's hair in corporate America. All of that shit. Racial microaggressions are a form of psychological warfare and are described as subtle verbal and nonverbal insults directed at people of color, often automatically or unconsciously. 2, layered insults based on one's race, gender, class, sexuality, language, immigration status, phenotype, accent, or surname. Cumulative insults, which cause unnecessary stress to people of color while privileging mayonnaise folk. People of color experience daily battles of attempting to deflect racism, stereotypes, and discrimination in predominantly mayonnaise spaces and must always be on guard or weary of the next attack they may face. Racial battle fatigue causes people of color to experience various forms of mental, emotional, and physical strain, which can lead to physiological symptoms. Symptoms of RPF are suppressed immunity and increased sickness, tension, headaches, trembling and jumpiness, chronic pain and heel injuries, elevated blood pressure, and a pounding heartbeat. And when people of color with RPF anticipate racially motivated conflicts, they may experience rapid breathing, an upset stomach, or frequent diarrhea and urination. Other possible symptoms are constant anxiety, ulcers, increased swearing or complaining, insomnia or stress, anxiety, dreams, rapid mood swings, difficulty thinking or speaking coherently, and emotional and social withdrawal in response to racial microaggressions, or while in environments of mundane racial stressors. These stressors can lead to long-term health issues and cause POCs to lose confidence in themselves and their self-worth. Racism is often preserved as a personal threat battle, and after facing that threat battle continuously in predominantly white spaces, people of color may experience RPF and are left mentally, physically, and emotionally drained. And when RPF goes untreated or dismissed, the stress-related psychological and physiological disease can be lethal and can kill gradually and steadily through hypertension and poor health attitudes and behaviors. You know, I've said for a long time that Black and brown people, at this point, we are unfortunately like the birth child of narcissists, making us the narcissistically abused children of pale supremacy. I believe that that's why we have like intergenerational transference of trauma and pain due to the byproducts of being a conquered people. And it's very difficult to heal as a community in a country where you're continuously getting sick in. We can't heal because there is no room and no time to heal. You're being injured by a system that is not ending, but evolving. Evolving. Wake that ass up. And it's a hot mess out here. We are in a sunken place, and it's ironic that this article by Morgan utilizes this image. I'm going to drop the link to let some of you guys sound off if you guys want to come up and speak about the Buffalo incident and just kind of vent some of your feelings, child. I just dropped the link. If I have any mods still in the chat, can you guys please kind of rotate the link so folk can come up and speak their piece. Hispanics can be just as racist. Yeah, I mean, it's internalized by everyone at this point, even our own people. Karma Cortell says, and will be celebrated by mayonnaise. Hey, Nico, hey, love. Oh my God, why can't I see Miss Barbara's comments? Hey, boo.
Hi, boo. This is crazy. So actually, this is bad but good because it goes back to how much we need to stick together. And this shows, and I think back to my original conversation, I was trying to share my damage of the warfare that I've experienced in this country. I wasn't trying to glorify anything about my personal. I don't have, I understand that we're all under attack. And trying to be that person that sticks together as a group in the unity caused me some damage, and I got some scars, and I was sharing those scars. But I was hoping it just opened the range of conversation for us as a community to genuinely see each other and what we've been through, because these people are starting their babies off early with killing us. And we can't even get our kids out the 3rd grade. I just had my son spit on. And, all these attacks that they're giving us, we're giving us. So we got to figure this out real fast. Like, we see everybody in the comments saying that this is going to be a civil war coming soon. We're not ready. We're not healthy. We're not psychologically, physically, emotionally. Like, we don't even trust each other. The first thing we do is attack each other according to what we've been through. All of us do this. We do this according to our sexuality, our finances, our social experiences, instead of just seeing Black supremacy, period.
Well, I wanted to just come on and make a few points because I did make a video about this, a 30-minute long video, but YouTube took it down because of things that were in it. But I just want to clear up like a couple of things. He's not like, so his parents and his family, they're not inherently racist. Like, there are no major signs or blaring signs like people would think. And when he was 16, he was going through the internet, and this is why I try to make it such a big deal to look at 4chan or look at Reddit and dive into what's in there, because 4chan is nothing but a anonymous forum board. And when I say anonymous, each user on there is completely anonymous. Like, of course, you can get traced back to where you're going to where you're posting from, but a lot of people know how to get around that. So you do have this guy that got caught, and he does have. I mean, there are websites where they have all of his 4chan or all of his Reddit threads, and you can go through them and like look and see. Everything was surrounded about guns. Everything was about what ammo is good for this, what gun is good for this. And in his manifesto, he started listing off what guns he was going to use, the AR-15, all that stuff. So not only is it because of him reading the rhetoric and like it being openly available, it's that he was getting encouraged by a lot of these people that were in these forum boards as well. So it's like not just him. It's not isolated to him. He's coming from a group of essentially white supremacists who are going to there are more of him, you know what I mean? He's just the one that was stupid enough to go out and try to act on a little bit of knowledge that he had. But yeah, 4chan is a huge problem.
Okay, this is what I would like to say. Somebody got a background, it's not me. Okay, this is what I will.
Hold on for a minute, Miss Barbara. This background, a big mama. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear you, sweetie.
Is that your?
Can you hear me?
So.
Yeah, I turned my TV. Yeah, I turned my TV, muted it. I muted my thing.
Do me a favor, love, and mute your phone until I'm gonna come to you after Miss Barbara.
Okay, mute my phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, baby.
Okay, I want to thank you.
I think I got it.
I want to thank you.
I can do it, boo. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to thank you, King Constance. Nothing I'm about to say is alleged. I have been on the internet for 6 years trying to expose the lawyers and the sheriff department upstate New York. They make their own laws. They are killing people. They are robbing people. And this is the truth. Nothing I am saying is alleged. I am bringing attention to this situation. You understand? And if black people do not wake up and see that the Democratic Party is destroying America, they got to wake up and see this, that they are being brainwashed and hypnotized. The reason why I had to become a Republican and I'm a penniless black woman is because the ghetto is going insane. When President Trump was president, they had unemployment, they had checks, they had this, they had that. They was lit. Now they robbing and snatching pocketbooks. My loved one was killed for a gold chain. I'm a beast out here. I'm not playing with nobody. I am dedicating my life to world peace. The solution is we are going to sue the United States government for the treason and genocide against the ghettos of America. We're going to sue Black Lives Matter, NAACP, Red Cross. We're going to get our reparations and be able to leave. And the ones that are staying is going to not move next to Karen. The president of the United States that is going to give us property, and they're going to get most of their reparation money back because we're going to have to buy our houses and materials from USA only. Let me tell you something. The marijuana is going to save this world. We're going to destroy all the marijuana. I don't want to go too much into what's going to be done. I want to stick to the subject. If you want the rest of the information, I hope Consciouztv don't mind me saying, go to my page. My page is the Underground Railroad. I'm not on there for likes and licks. Oh, and I must say this. Consciouztv, I want to dedicate that I am a top supporter. I want to pay $20 a month. I want to be crowned. Okay, the ones that can't afford 25, I'm tired. I want my credit card is ready. Okay, I don't care. Every month I want to take care of this panel. Now y'all could go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara, for that. Knockout, you have just brought up his manifesto, and this is one he wrote himself, correct?
Yes, sir. So this is what he wrote, I want to say a day or two prior to him going and carrying out this whole thing. And I was really bringing it up, Conscious, because there are people who are thinking that he had to have been raised with these ideologies. And that's what I want to point out to everybody, is that he doesn't necessarily have to come from an inherently racist family. All this stuff and all this stuff on the internet, y'all would be surprised how frequent kids go and visit certain spaces and certain forms.
Knock out,
And
please don't say nothing. I have to interrupt you. Please don't say nothing to get our page taken down. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever you said that got them to take your stuff down, just don't repeat that. Please rephrase it in a different way. Oh, that's all I'm saying, sir.
Barbara, you didn't really have to interrupt me to do that. I had posted the video, and I had the video at the shooting.
Well, on your own page, your video was taken down, so I'm quite sure you wasn't making a video to be taken down. That's why I interrupted.
I'm telling you why it got taken down, Barbara. I'm telling you it's because I put the shooting in the video. I need you to stop talking when I'm talking, because I'm trying to make my points. You're making me forget.
I just don't want you to say something.
Miss Barbara, it's okay, love. I got it. And his video was taken out because of footage he had in the video, not because of anything he said.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, knock out.
Okay, so like I was saying, they don't necessarily have to come from an inherently racist family. They can learn all of the things that people would assume that they grew up with online through different chat boards, different forums, and everything. He stated himself that his main influence, his main role model was Brenton Tarrant, which is the mass shooter in New Zealand who live streamed his mass shooting, and he tried to follow everything to the T that he did, even to following the right documentation, following the critical race theory or the great replacement theory, and then using those tenets as justifications as to why he went and did this. But in his About Me, this is his manifesto. This is what he wrote. He comes from parents whose nationalities are from Northwestern Europe and Italy. Now, look, I don't know. I wasn't there with his parents or anything. There's not been anything hinting towards his parents being racist. The only thing that people have pointed out is that his parents were, and this is typical of any mayonnaise family, that they were supplying guns. Well, not supplying, but they had guns in open access to their children. So I think there was like a Christmas video when Payton was way younger, and they had unboxed like a brand new Savage, I don't know, 270 or like a Savage 22, which is your standard like hunting rifle, beginner entry level hunting rifle. So that was there. But as far as his parents being racist and passing on these ideals and stuff to him, it doesn't always have to be the family. It can be people from online or whatever, because that's what I would say any human nowadays spends 90% of their time doing, is they're online. But
so the rise of this internet, this information age, is allowing people to be indoctrinated
exactly
virtually.
Exactly. And that's what's scary to me, is because he said he was surfing through 4chan and Reddit 2 years ago, so that would have made him 16. Now, who's to say that there aren't kids who are 10 years old or less getting on these forum boards on their iPads that their parents don't know about? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's ways to access everything, and it could be hyperlinked in the comment section of a YouTube video. It could be on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's different ways.
Theo said a lot of video game communities have a racist teams who spread others who may not come from racist homes themselves.
Yes. See, and that's where it's coming from now. Now, when we take a look at racism from the 50s and 60s and we compare it to now, yes, in the 50s and 60s, that's generational inherited racism. Nowadays, you have racism that's getting shown, and these kids are getting indoctrinated by it from video games or from, like I said, like Conscious is saying, a virtual background. Yeah, it's not necessarily like, oh, the grandpa is coming now, sit on my knee, let me tell you how bad black people are. I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore.
I'm gonna tell you what the case is. This is the case. Okay, you want to speak, baby, but this is the case because I lived among them for 30 years. This is how the KKK lives. The Caucasian people, upstate mayonnaise people live. They get a house. They can work at McDonald's. They get a house and they get a garden and they eat deer meat. They hunt for their deer meat and they live in a garden and they get accesses to homeowners money, like to purchase homes. The government actually gives them this. Now the problem is there's no more economic economy. That's why those white folks was at the Capitol. There's no jobs. Everything is China. We have nothing here. That's the problem. That's why they going mad right now, because they can't eat. No jobs. You either going to be slaving for McDonald's, fast food. Where is the economy? In China. They left. That's the problem.
You know, I actually agree with Knockout and Miss Barbara, because what I mean by raising, these are the dominant society children of America. And they have a certain environment that they're cultivated in. So by the time they feel threatened through politics, education, they're taught that we're their enemy subliminally, subconsciously, even like you said, knockout. If they don't have racist parents, they live in an environment that is white supremacist. And then when they are exposed to us, they either feel threatened like this kid does, and they come up with this whole manifesto, or they become doctors, cops. It's multiple ways.
Oh
And
my God. Y'all got to know.
the scariest thing about it in politics is the fabric of this country is built off of them oppressing us.
Right.
So when these children grow up, they start to feel threatened by us through multiple ways. This is so deep that it would take longer than our conversation about the kids. These people have tried so hard to get away with what they've been doing that time is up pretty much, and they have the advantage of biological warfare, educational economics, so anything that this kid is thinking of, he's going to be backed by somebody in his environment, because America is his environment. That's what I meant by raise. Even if his mom and dad is not personally doing this, he's going to run into a teacher, a cop, another white person of power that's going to pass this message along. The same way we've been passing along our messages. So even if it does come down to a race war, they have the advantage. They own everything. That's why it went back to us always getting on our men. And it is hurtful.
Let me read this for you, Nico, real quick.
Let me just put this in here, because Knockout, I need you to investigate this. They are taught in other countries, they are taught by their government that Americans are trash and black people are trash. They recite this in their schools, especially in Korea. They are taught, even in Africa, Africans are taught that black Americans are trash. I live in the community. I'm telling you what I know. Ain't nothing alleged. The ones that don't have knowledge of respect, of righteousness, they are taught that black Americans are garbage.
Yeah. All right. So let me read this real quick, and then y'all can keep going. So it says, this is him asking himself these questions in his manifesto. So it says, why did you target these people?
I can't hear.
think his mic.
I can't hear him either. Maybe
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so this is him talking about black people as a whole. This is not him just, talking about the individual black people that he saw at the store. This is him talking about the black community. So it says, why did you target these people? It said they are an obvious, visible, and large group of replacers. From a culture with higher fertility rates and strong, robust traditions that seek to occupy my people's lands and ethnically replace my own people. It would have eased me if I knew all the blacks I would be killing were criminals or future criminals. But then I realized all black people are replacers just by existing in white countries.
See, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very telling. And this is why he chose a store. So he said that the store has the highest black population percentage of the zip code and isn't that far away. It was 3 hours away. And he went from Pittsburgh to Buffalo, New York. I don't know how many boroughs he would have passed by doing that, but as far as Harlem, Bed-Stuy, any of the other black boroughs, he didn't go to.
Don't forget, there's no more Harlem. They call it Sotown. They've been to Getaway.
I'm not from up there, so I don't know.
My Sotown.
Buffalo is 78% black, so it was the largest black population. And he also had plans on going to school, the elementary school,
Uh-huh.
and some other locations.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Now,
then
someone just sent me something real quick. I'm gonna remove this temporarily, real quick.
okay.
But just keep that there, because that is very fascinating. One of my subscribers just sent me this. Pull it up here. This is from WGRZ.com.
Wow, hung up on wow.
911 dispatcher who allegedly hung up on a woman inside Tops during mass shooting is on leave. A 911 dispatcher who allegedly hung up on a woman inside the Tops grocery store during Saturday's massacre is now off the job. I gotta add somebody up here. Okay. The allegation came from an assistant manager from Tops who called in during two on your side's live coverage of the mass shooting on Saturday. Letitia said she could hear gunshots that wouldn't stop and had the wherewithal to call 911. Quote, I tried to call 911 and I was whispering because I could hear him close by, Letitia said. And when I whispered on the phone to 911, the dispatcher started yelling at me, why are you whispering? You don't have to whisper. And I'm trying to tell her, like, ma'am, he's in the store. He's shooting. It's an active shooter. I'm scared for my life. And she said something crazy to me, and then she hung up in my face. And I had to call my boyfriend to call 911. In New York State, 911 calls are rarely released to the public. The media has no access, and it usually takes a court order. Erie County, which runs the 911 communication center through Central Police Services, confirmed this incident is being investigated and immediate action was taken, and the individual who took the call is now on administrative leave pending a disciplinary hearing, which should happen within a couple of weeks. Other calls that made it through were properly dispatched, and there was a rapid response. Buffalo Mayor Brian Brown says police were on site at Tops Market on Jefferson Avenue within 2 minutes. After the disciplinary hearing, the dispatcher could be fired or face other disciplinary action, like going to fucking jail.
Literally.
That would be nice. The fuck? Also, something that one of my subbies just shared with me, and I want to welcome everybody else to the platform as well. Let me draw this up into a slide real quick. This is apparently a fucking, a play-by-play that details his plans on this unfortunate. Hey, this is some wild shit. What the fuck am I looking at? Okay. So this is taken from his journal, his execution plan. The plan of action. At home, I would pick up all my gear and put it in a industrial trash bag, and then I will put this bag in a laundry basket and place it on the floor in front of the passenger seat. I will put the 3 guns, 2 of them have carriers behind my seat with a blanket over them to cover it from outsiders. I will also have Discord at my house running a live recording of my Twitch account. I will eat a large portion of corned beef hash for breakfast. I will leave my house at 7:30 and travel to Buffalo in regular clothing should just arrive before 12. At 12, I will go outside. I will go inside the store for the second to last time and make sure everything is as expected. I will follow my planned course of action and make sure I know exactly where to go between 12 and 2:45 p.m. I will also get some food at the infamous McDonald's. At 3:30, I will park in the designated gear up spot off of Sherman Street and fully gear up. I will take my 3 guns out of the carriers and put them in the passenger seat of my car. I chamber the shotgun and add another in the magazine tube and do the same to the Savage Axis. Both of these guns will have safety engaged. I may change the location I gear up if I determine it is too risky. At 3:50 p.m., I will publish my 8chan post on 8chan.mo, 4chan post on 4chan, link to 8chan post, send links to the Discord servers I'm in, and send links to all people on my Discord friends list. After I'm done posting, I will take the XM15 and properly wear the sling and place the gun to the left of my legs. I insert the coupled magazines chamber, a round with the M855 mag, and make sure the gun is on safe. At 3:55 p.m., I start the live stream and make it out onto Sherman Street. I will take a right onto High Street, take a right onto Johnson Street, make it across Best Street on Wallers Avenue, and park on the side of the road just before Raleigh Street. At 3:57 p.m., I will turn the check my Discord and check the camera to make sure the live stream is working. At 3:58 p.m., I take a left on Raleigh Street. I then turn into the parking lot at Tops and disengage to safety on my XM15. About 4 p.m., I park in front of the store right before the support beam, kick the door open, and jump out my car. In training, this full action took between 2 to 3 seconds. If all is expected, I should pass some responding patrol officers. At this time on Jefferson, I passed the House of China, start making my way across the Emsley's neighborhood using all weapons I have available to me to shoot at nearby blacks. I should be stopped by police officers eventually in Emsley and then surrender to them, or if I find another decent location the day of the attack, I'll head there. Example being Walmart. Most importantly, the attacker must go through the attack in their mind. It is very difficult for a normal person, even with all the information, to carry out an attack that would kill another human being, or the fact that you may die that day. I don't think there really is a way to train for this, but confidence is your goals and equipment may ease them. I think that live streaming this attack gives me some motivation in the way that I know that some people will be cheering for me. So he went on social media in hopes to be rooted on and use that as his confidence to execute this massacre. I am also decently protected by my armor, so that gives me some confidence as well. Training with my guns also gives me confidence, knowing exactly what I can expect by shooting them. Of course, how is one expected to harm another without a weapon? I will be using firearms as my primary weapon for this attack. Why? Because they work. There are few weapons that are easier to use, accessible, and effective at harming than firearms. The weapons I will be using for this attack are a Bushmaster XM15, Mossberg 500, and a Savage Axis XP. This is the Bushmaster XM15. That's right. I used the dreaded military-grade assault rifle 15 as my main firearm for this attack. This gun was most likely made between 1944 and 2004 when the federal assault weapons ban was still in action. I brought it from a place in Endicott called Vintage Firearms. Since I live in New York, I had to buy a cut version of this before illegally modifying it. The person who had this before me installed a Mean Arms magazine lock, which fixed a 10-round magazine to the gun, as seen in the next two photos. I first shoot the security guard and ill him by shooting through the front doors of the glass. His most common areas are located in orange. There is an overhand based on the camera position. I should be in the camera's blind spot. He should be just at the entrance of the store, if not at the cash registers. They may still have the Glocks attached to them, or they may have dropped it. If possible, I kick the Glocks away to a wall so it cannot be used against me. I shoot all black people twice in the chest if possible. I turn left to the cash registers and open fire on the expected crowd of people at the cash registers. According to users' review, the store is notorious for being slow. Some will run alongside the aisles. I make sure I never stop firing. I make it to other side of the aisle and continue firing on all blacks. I go into the customers only area to check for runners and hiders and make it to the deli and then back to the entrance. I shoot all down blacks twice in the head, making my way to the register and aisles again and back to the deli and back to the entrance. It should be leaving at about 4:04 p.m. Then I will go into my car and make it on Jefferson Avenue, where I will take my Mossberg 500 and Savage Axis out from the seat and shoot at blacks on the streets.
And Conscious, let's let me add in on piggyback off of this is what you're saying. He had a conversation with a black man named Brady Lewis who frequents Tops. He's usually outside having conversations, speaking with just random people on the street. Him and Payton had spoke the day before. Payton, actually, I want to say the day of. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the day of. But I know at one point they had a conversation to where Brady Lewis, the black man, and Payton were having a civil conversation about the critical race theory, about string theory, about the current status and the temperature of the United States and society. So when he talked to him, Brady said that he never really got the vibe that he was going to be a mass shooter. He said that he was a little off and that things were strange at first, but then after talking to him, he wasn't. He would have never thought that this is what he's going to carry out the next day. So that in itself is extremely scary too. Imagine speaking with this shooter, and again, Brady Lewis was somebody who was going to be up at the store, and he said he had deterred his normal route to go do something else and heard the shots behind him going off. So yeah, it's extremely evil.
I mean, to that point, I think we have to get, just like disease, wickedness doesn't necessarily have a look or a personality. It could smile in your face. It could be chipper. It can have kids. It can have a wife. It could be a CEO. It could look like any ordinary regular individual. I think we look for oddities in people when very extreme things manifest, but we are in an age where we can see for ourselves that even evil can be beautiful. It's not necessarily the weirdo person per se. And yeah, it is very fucking extreme to know that, you know, you live next door, you've worked alongside, and you've even given birth to a fucking psychopath and a goddamn maniac. And the fact that this man carried out his fucking plan, play by play, precept by precept, and his literal focus was on melanated people. And then if he would have made it out of the store, he was planning on
doing
driving
more
up the streets and just shooting at black people alongside the curbs. And
now,
it goes back to my conversation whenever we talk about this whole black building Black Wall Street and all this, and then I always get to this part of the conversation and say, okay, all that's cute, yeah, so let's grow black businesses and let's do all that and build black economics, but what we gonna do about this part? Because this was an individual manifested attack, but are black people also prepared to fight for that leverage? Because if you think that they're gonna let you level the fuck up on this ground without pushback,
I have the answer.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, Conscious, before Robert you go. Conscious, now we've been reading 4chan and 8chan and everything like that. I know probably for a fact that I would say 90% of your audience, of my audience, don't go on 4chan. But I had went on, and there are threads of them talking about this guy and his manifesto and everything like that. A lot of them are saying that what he was trying to perpetuate and everything that he was standing for, a lot of it was a contradiction. And a lot of them say that he could have been a plant by the feds for this shit, because he doesn't have any white kids to protect or preserve. He claimed that he was left wing and that he wasn't a right wing conservative. So it's like that kind of gets rid of that there. So do you think that possibly, even in lieu of white people mayonnaise people not agreeing with him, do you think this possibly could have been something that was beyond a race issue? Do you think that this is something possibly the government could be trying to infiltrate?
Yes, there we go.
I mean, definitely. And I mean, I think this thing is so convoluted. I think it's something different with every situation. I don't think that they're all the same. I definitely think that some people are literally industry plants and are agents of chaos and are hired to introduce certain stimulation in order for the government to move certain legislation under the guise of protecting us. That's actually to our detriment. So I definitely believe in like these chaos actors and these chaos agents. But I also go back to an initial point I made, that I also think that in this, I think that social media, the pendulum is going to swing from the extreme left to the extreme right. I just think that our sense of value is being disrupted because of the social media age. And I think that in this age where you literally can tally up your social like how valuable you are socially based upon how many people are following you, how many people are liking a post, how many people are interacting with your persona, with your existence. I think that this is going to stimulate an even deeper sense of loneliness and poor mental health. And I think that even when it comes to these madmen in both directions, black supremacists, mayonnaise supremacists, extremism, radicalism on all ends, I think that even beyond like the things that get weaponized, like racism and homophobia and femophobia and xenophobia and all the phobias, I think that at the root of all of them fucking phobias is I think that people largely just end up in a very extreme, disconnected place in their lives. And they use these kind of like vigilante missions in order to generate a sense of purpose and placement in their life while also soothing their wounds by expressing their hate and disdain for whomever is vulnerable. That would be the black population. Privileged folk can certainly see black and brown people as easy prey because they know that out of all of the communities, black and brown people are disposable to America, and nobody gives a fuck about us to begin with. So if there's like anybody to stump out the yard without much consequence, or it could be easy to use as a punching bag, then certainly it would be our community. And I don't think that all these issues are necessarily about racism itself or are about homophobia itself or transphobia itself or etc. itself. And as you said, you know, when I read an article that his parents didn't necessarily hold racist belief and this wasn't something he was per se taught, and he even kind of stands by that because he kept this largely from his parents. It just seems that, like in the Columbine case, there's just like, I know that because he targeted us, like that's what the headlines are. But I'm also led to believe, like, well, what's the root behind that? Like, why would something like this appeal to someone? Like, what is happening in a person's life? Something like that would inspire them to this level of personal expression. Yes, Ms. Barbara.
Oh my God, let me tell you something. Mental illness, nobody could tell me nothing about that. This is the first thing. Why wasn't it caught before he bought that gun? If you are mentally ill, you are registered. And another thing,
he was never mentally ill, Ms. Barbara. That's the thing.
No, son. When you make a statement like he did in that school and was evaluated, that was supposed to be documented.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about if you are mentally ill, and okay, he made a post in his school about all of this racism stuff. He was supposed to be tagged and watched. He wasn't supposed to be allowed to buy a gun.
Okay, Ms. Barbara, are you a psychologist?
Excuse me, son. What I am is have the knowledge of psychiatrists.
No, but if you're not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you can't say who's going to be mentally evaluated, who's not. You can't make that determination. Only the person who's legally licensed to do that can do that.
If a person goes to a psychiatric ward, you are supposed to.
He never went to a psychiatric ward. He was never locked down for anything mental.
Wasn't he? What was this thing I was hearing about him being evaluated?
He was never evaluated. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. He's never been evaluated. He's never had a mental incapability.
No, he was evaluated. Evaluated like 2 years prior to this incident.
Thank you very much.
I need to see that documented because I don't see that.
I'm saying because he was evaluated.
Ms. Barbara, hold on for a second. Just allow me to explain this to a knockout. He was 17. He had did a school project where he spoke about a suicidal mission, and this alerted the schools. They got him put through a mental evaluation. They did not conclude that there was anything.
Where's the documentation on this, bro?
Hold on, Miss Barbara. Just give me 1 second to pull it together, please.
Thank you.
Let me reiterate this for those who are just coming in. Hold on for 1 second, because it's in here real quick. No, it's not that.
Because he did kill a cat.
No, hold on. It's not that. Here it is. Listen to this. And this is from CNN, and then this is from CNN.com. Hold on for a fucking second. I got so much shit up here. Okay, it says suspect was evaluated, not involuntarily committed. Garcia, the Erie County Sheriff, said the Buffalo shooting suspect was visited last year by New York police after he turned in a high school project about murder-suicides. Quote, the state police arrived at his house at that point last year, Garcia said. Quote, he stayed at a facility. I'm not sure if it was a hospital or a mental health facility for a day and a half. Beau Duffy, a spokesperson for the New York State Police, said that the troopers transported the student to the hospital for a mental health evaluation. Quote, he confirmed it was an evaluation and not an involuntary commitment, so it would not have prevented Grendron from purchasing a gun.
Not at all.
Law. New York State police officers also did not seek a red flag order of protection against Grendron after the incident, which could have been another way to prevent him from purchasing a gun. State police declined to comment on why they didn't seek a red flag order. A law enforcement official told CNN the threat was general in nature and did not target the school or anyone in particular, and did not specifically mention shooting or firearms. The state's red flag law, also known as the Extreme Risk Protection Order Law, was enacted in 2019 and is designed to prevent anyone who shows signs of being a threat to themselves or others from purchasing or possessing a firearm. According to the New York State law, certain clinicians who determine that a patient is likely to engage in conduct that would result in serious harm to self or others are required to report to a county health commissioner, who can report to the state's Division of Criminal Justice Services, which can block people from buying guns and revoke gun permits. Federal law prohibits someone involuntarily committed to a mental health institution from buying a gun. It does not cover someone in a mental institution for observation. A mental institution includes any health facility, hospital, or psychiatric ward of a general hospital, etc.
So we can definitely say,
thank you for that,
we can definitely say
I
then,
will knock out
Ms.
Blue.
Barbara, hold on.
Well, I need
So
you
we
to
can
hold
definitely
on,
say
because I was
that,
talking about-
okay, so we can definitely say that because he was a minor at the time, that and then is evaluation, not a commitment. So when he goes and turns 18 years old, yes, he can definitely go and buy a gun. And you just screaming about him being mentally evaluated doesn't mean that he's going to be mentally evaluated. But go ahead, Barbara, since you know everything. Go ahead.
Listen, calm yourself down. Calm yourself down. Let me tell you to tell his story right. Now, as I was saying, you know who the family is going to sue? Upstate New York. I've been on the internet because I want lawyers and judges investigated and police investigated. They make their own laws. The bottom line of this boy was supposed to be tagged and not allowed to buy a gun. And that's point blank bottom line, period. So who they family need to sue is that damn county that sold that child a gun, the county, the store that sold it to him and everything, because he was at one point mentally evaluated to be a serial killer. And that's point blank bottom line. Let me explain something to black folks. I'm not up here knock out to knock you out. You understand me? We got to unite.
Look at how you're talking. It's not the aggression and all that. That's the problem.
No, that's who I am. I'm ready.
Yeah, see, you need to be ready for the white people. Don't be ready for me. I'm not doing shit to you.
You know, watch your mouth, man. I'm not turning this into.
You watch your mouth. You're talking to me crazy.
Okay, yeah. You.
I didn't come on here in the morning cracking off at you.
Can we slow it down? Can we slow it down? I wanna discuss the DSM-5 because that's what you're talking about. And politics, these are all European ways of life. Now, I want to put some gold on my ghetto knockout.
Before you go, I'm gonna let y'all guys flow. I gotta step away to get something out of my washer and dryer real quick because it just stopped, but flow.
Okay. So I want to put some gold on my ghetto knockout. And what we were saying is we understand what urban people see when you talk about social media and the changes that we are seeing in our community and how we're becoming expendable. I'm from an era of rooted people, and I watch hip hop from when we didn't have access. I'm from the South and Dirt Road at that. So we understand, even like from what we grew up on, mayonnaise people lack a certain spirituality about them. They don't have that elevation. They're naturally chaotic. Even from me, I'm 42. I'm in my third year of college, and reading their academia, they basically explain their lack of unity and why they're individualized in their thinking, and they try to justify their chaotic ways. So there's nowhere in this society you're going to find a justification to being able to spot them. It's their society. So a lot of us that are in the ghetto don't participate in that society because we see the chaos in it all. There's not enough money you could pay me to be in the space with mayonnaise people. They're going to hunt you down every chance they get. That's just what they've been doing. That's who they are.
Exactly.
Remember, Knockout, when we were on the panel arguing and I asked the guy, I think his name was Nubian God or whatever, and I said, if Black women sit, would you protect us? Because that's genuinely what this is going to take. We have to stop participating. There's no more conversations to be had. I genuinely don't even converse with my own people because I see how bad this is. We have to separate ourselves. There's not a fight to be thrown on our way. We're covered by the universe. That's what rooted really means. And if we all were in the same accord, psychologically unified, and stepped away from their society, they would destroy themselves. We wouldn't have to like sue, fight, go through all of that. That's their energy. We don't come with that energy. When they met us, we were sedentary people that were spiritually rooted to the universe. They disrupted all of that and got us doing this with each other today. Now they have the opportunity to send their kids at will whenever they want to. It could be a cop, it could be a teenager, it could be a nurse, it could be a teacher. We can't put up with it. We have to leave. Unfortunately, even though my children are not yours, they still have to be a part of your plan. You have to be a part of my plan. I have to be cognizant of everybody around me that looks like me. I know that in my heart. When people see me, they see an African looking person, they're judging my uterus, but that boy didn't see none of that when he started shooting. So once we keep doing this, it's going to keep getting stuck. These people don't have the love, the power, the strength of melanated people. And we're trying to participate in a fight that they have put in their advantage for almost 600, thousands of years, actually. Colonization goes way back before slavery. And the spirit of who we are has been under attack way before social media started. And I'm 42 years in this. And so imagine a heartbreak that a lot of us are dying with, because it's like we're trying, but it's going to take for us not to do nothing, I promise. And we have to leave. That's our best. Their absence always speaks volumes.
We gotta separate.
Nico, when you say leave, what do you mean
we gotta sue. We have to sue for reparations. We gotta sue.
I mean, as far as men that claim that they're going to lead, buy property, invite women in, let the work pay for itself. Cut everybody off from society. It starts with birthing centers and medical examiners' office, where we have control over all Black bodies. There should be nobody birthing us or burying us, and that's where the men come in. And it's genuinely.
Well, I was gonna say, Nico, what's crazy is you heard about the whole Young Thug and Gunna situation, right?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, so these are two very mainstream rappers who have oodles of money, right? And they've been going through this gang, whatever. They just got locked up on RICO charges. But I was arguing on Facebook with somebody saying that, well, Young Thug and Gunna were about to open up well, he already opened up like a Black-owned grocery store inside of a middle school, I believe, and then they were trying to work on a community of nothing but Black-owned businesses and essentially a place for Black people, right? Now, my whole thing was, that sounds good, but how is Young Thug going to do that when he's in the middle of a gang war and trying to eradicate this other Black man? And these would be the ones to do it because they have the financial means to do it.
The gang members are going to save the world. Wait till you hear my explanation.
But they bought into the political cartel where they have a contract that they signed for that money. It's not theirs. They didn't really earn it. They got bought.
Okay. So you think somebody like a Tyler Perry or any of our big black executives, you think they could do that and essentially have that established for us to go to? Because I'm like, when you think about Africa, right? We don't know where our tribes are. We don't know where to go in Africa. So when we go to Africa, we're not going to be treated like the native Africans there.
Okay, this is what I need to inform citizens of the United States of America. The drug dealers support every war that we had. Why I was there supporting it. I'm telling you things I know. Been there, got the evidence. That's why we're going to sue. You understand? We have to help ourselves by suing. Malcolm, we don't need to march. We got to sue for the treason and genocide against the ghettos of America. We got to sue NAACP for stealing our money, Black Lives Matter, and others. Everybody's going to get sued. And we're also going to sue for the full control of marijuana. Why? Because our government was giving it to privileged people in the United States to give to our children so our children could be jailed. And for that, we're going to sue for the total control. And all of these rich folks that got money, they're going to lose all their investments because we're going to destroy all the marijuana, our Black civil rights. We're going to unite for real deals, baby. I'm not the one. It can happen. I don't want people to be reciting these crabs in a barrel. These Black people are too brainwashed. We got to stop it. We got to unite. You understand? And we got to just sue.
Where are we? Where were you united? And who's going to sue?
You know how when they killed us and we was marching Black Lives Matter, we got to get those signatures and we got to sue. We got to bring it to the United Nations and we got to bring it to the Supreme Court. That why they've been stealing the housing preservation development money. That's why they need no more drug dealers because they now stealing federal money. Knockout. I want you to do a study of a trial called Samuel Pierce trial, where all of your politicians is in there, they little dirty fingers, and it's still in there. And that's why they took Harlem away and Soto and gave all our neighbors and then all of our neighborhoods to immigrants just because you got my color, you not me.
Okay, so you're talking about gentrification, but I'm okay. So what I'm trying to say,
Samuel Pierce, study the trial of Samuel Pierce, where the politicians and lawyers were stealing money. They still doing it today, and nobody was arrested or convicted in that 2-week trial because little dirty people like names of Hillary was in charge of all of that. Black people better stop being brainwashed by these Democrats. The Democrats got us starving. We better vote for Donald. I'm trying to tell you, I said it in our
I don't know. How did it get to politics? Okay, I'm not trying to get that far into politics.
Barrel mentality. Don't address my questions because you too much of a. I'm not going to argue with
Barbie, because you're bringing up random arbitrary points. We're not talking about politics right now. We're talking about what's happening in the Black community.
Go ahead, man.
So how are you going to say that anybody?
You don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to slam dunk you knockout because just finish talking.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
So knockout had the hustlers like took some of that shoe money and car money, invested into Black community, like how we did back in the days. Old hustlers in the 80s and 90s would like buy a restaurant for the women in their family, buy, whatever these women wanted. And now we're needing different type of support and resources, but men are putting it elsewhere. Had like when they was buying those guns, they put half of that money towards a birthing center in their community or a school in their community. It's that mindset instead of typing it out.
I think it has to be more nuanced than what Barbara's saying. This whole, the crack era when they were making money like that. Yeah, that was completely like government subsidized type shit. But now you have people that are going over the government and wanting to like really use this money for themselves, not using this money and putting it back into the community. Nobody's really getting $100 million and then, okay, what school can I open? What restaurant can I open? Like, that's not what's happening. I think a lot of what is happening is money laundering. And to Barbara's point, I'm 27 years old. I know people in the street that make money, that sell pounds and bring pounds in. Do I see them giving back to the community? No, they give back to their block. They give back to the people they hustle around, but they're not giving back to the greater Black community. No. So when we're talking about that, there's got to be an actual organized something in place. There was a new Black Panther Party, but look what happened to that.
The mindset of the men is definitely gone. That's what we're complaining about now. That's why
we can say men, but Black women are making more money than Black men right now.
True. So the mindset of the people is gone, I should say. Yeah.
We could say people. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's just Black men that are leading wrong. I mean, yeah, a lot of it comes from the patriarchy, but there is And that's another problem with the community as well. There's a separatist between male and female. Okay, Barbara, since you're rolling your eyes, you're exactly the epitome of what I'm talking about, Barbara.
Let me tell you something. Stop trying to judge me with your demonic thoughts, son. You're not on my level. You're not on my level. Stop with your demonic thoughts.
So you're being condescending, and you're talking about black people wanting to be together.
Don't ever quote Barbara Point. You know not my point. You understand? Because I got.
What is your point?
How we going to? We don't need to.
A bunch of random yelling, a bunch of shit.
We don't need to beg for nothing. We're going to get the full control of marijuana and sue the United States for reparations. Okay, we ain't gonna beg nobody for nothing. And those that
you won't even know how to go to the first step about that. That's what I'm saying. You're sitting here on a panel screaming about it, but you don't even know how to enact any of that. Where are the signatures that you went to go collect? Where were you at when the Ferguson stuff was going on? Where were you at when George Floyd was everybody was marching for George Floyd? You were nothing. You were never anywhere in the vicinity. So how are you going to talk about change?
First of all, child, what kind of person are you with all of this garbage in your mouth? I organize things. You don't even know me, son.
What have you organized, Barbara? What is your name on?
Organized. Let me answer your question. What have I organized? Let me tell you what I organized, son. When I was in Harlem, New York, living in a building that a landlord owned, and we didn't have no heat or hot water.
Are you still living off of government assistance, Barbara?
Can I finish my statement? You asked me what did I organize, and I'm going to tell you what I organized. If you don't want to know, you understand?
Because I don't care. Because like the way that you come off, I don't care about what you did. I wouldn't sign shit that you brought to me.
Grab in the barrel, stand down, say what you got to say, because I'm not going to allow you to disrupt what I got to say. Because we're not going to beg for nobody, baby, because it was my crew.
All right, well, good luck, Barbara.
Making United States survive. We sold the drugs for your water, for you to be right now in United States free. And we're going to reverse it. And we're going to use the marijuana to make this heaven on earth. We're going to destroy all the marijuana in the United States of America and only grow it in undeveloped countries. Who am I? The revelation. All right. What is the definition of revelation? Existence of life, not your fake ass Bible. All right. Your existence of life. Huh? I'm sorry I'm hard, son. I'm sorry because I'm ready. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for a civil war. So don't play with me because we're going to be free. We're going to take it to the Supreme Court. We're going to do like Malcolm X told us to do. We're going to sue. We're not going to beg for nothing.
But knockout, what I was saying is in the top of the conversation, this is a spiritual war. And if you notice, all the leaders they've been given to us are the leaders they pick for us. These are not our chosen people. Every time they give us someone is to break our spirit by acting like we can't trust them. Perfect example, the Black Lives Matter lady. They knew she was going to do that. And they knew they was going to have a black lady married to a white man that was going to expose this to make it seem like we're those people. They continue this, like even with Garvey, they exposed him for money laundering and a whole bunch of things. They exposed Martin Luther King derelictly. They are picking these people and then exposing their demons, saying this is your leader. And when most of the time, those of us who are actually aware of what needs to be done and are willing to like step up, that you notice like the realest people don't get a lot of fame. They don't get a lot of exposure. They don't get a lot of support, but they can buy off these puff daddies. And, you know, like that's the mindset of us. And it goes back to our spirit that's being attacked in this environment. That's why we got to leave.
I want Jazzy, Benestica, and Mika and T talk with Sha. I think she was up here actually next. Speak to those things. T talk with Sha.
Hey y'all. I just been listening because I've been catching up on the details of everything that actually happened. But my points were more towards social media and the oversight. And I really feel like Discord, Twitch, they really make a lot of their money off of being platforms that do not have that much monitoring and oversight. For him to make such a detailed plan, there was months, almost years that went into this, that he's been having these ideologies and these thoughts. This was 100%, in my opinion, preventable. And I just feel like, when are they going to hold some type of accountability for this gross negligence?
Well, like I said, I think the damn family needs to open up, like the surviving families of these victims and those who survive this horrific trauma-inducing experience, to sue the living fuck out of Google.
Yeah, because the technology is there. Anytime you say anything to do with the panorama, I don't want to say the word because of your stream and everything, but anytime you mention that, it's 100% flagged by Instagram, Facebook, everything that anytime you mention that word. So the technology is there, it's possible, but they literally make their income off of being the places that people kind of know, almost like a semi-dark web that you can get on and tell specific people about and give them your link, and nothing will ever happen to you. You could just do whatever you want on there.
How do y'all? Well, I will ask y'all that after I get everybody's initial thoughts. Are you complete in your thoughts until you talk?
Yes, those are my thoughts. Thank you, guys.
Okay. You can hold. You can stay right there, boo. Jazzy Jace, thoughts on all-headed whole shit of America these days?
Well, I've been listening with a great deal of interest. What my thoughts are is that this kid, I don't care. He admitted that he was bored, and he began to go to these websites that would where he could openly talk about what he wanted to do, what he was going to do. 4chan, all of these social media, Facebook being one of the biggest, to me, one of the biggest platforms for which this stuff can be aired. They know that by the time they take down something like this particular video, it has already been uploaded and shared thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of times. I told you that as of even yesterday, you could go on Twitter, and they hadn't yet blocked it. You could actually pull up that video. They know what is going on. They allegedly are supposed to have somebody monitoring these things, but it's a lie. It's not being monitored at all.
That's why
I would love to see us as a Black community cease all of this, all of our bickering, all of our fighting and finger pointing, because right now these people are very serious. They are united in thought. They are united in the things that they are doing. They are united. They don't even know each other, but the ideology is united. We must, at this point, take this shit very seriously and begin to prepare to protect ourselves and our communities. Because this boy was saying that the reason he chose the supermarket was because he wanted Black people to be afraid, to be in fear everywhere they went.
And Black people going to own that whole county because they're going to sue.
We can't be operating in fear. We have to be ready. And you know what I mean by that. We must be ready, because they are showing us no mercy. And these gun, and right now in Georgia, it's just open.
Can you go into a bit more detail, Jace? Because we have these talks and these conversations all the time on my platform, and we always talk about the rosy side of liberating Black folks, which is through Black-owned businesses, etc. And then when we get to this conversation around the reality of what's going to happen when those things take place, which Mr. Grendron has so reminded us of, which is there's going to be a literal physical manifestation of mayonnaise folks' frustration and resistance to Black liberation. What does it mean to be ready? What the inside of our homes need to look like? What do the conversations with our children need to look like? What do we get ready?
These beautiful gems drop.
For me, first of all, just the way they are. I don't want to say anything that's gonna interfere with your channel, But when I say the heat, you know exactly what I mean. If in this state it's open carry, George. So all you need to have is an address to purchase.
Jesus.
And a lot of the laws that were put in place to keep felons away from getting weapons they've gone away. They don't mean anything. I mean, first of all, we need to understand that we must be armed and ready to take care of our own. I don't know what we say to our children, because that to me is so very difficult. You know, our children, we send our children away. I know that when I was going to school, every child I knew got to talk about how we could potentially be treated by white people in school. By mayonnaise people, pardon me.
Wow.
I don't know what a mother should tell her child as they're going to school, or what a father should tell their child when they're going to school, because how do we protect them in the schools? How do we protect the children that are going to school?
My son to go to school, I tell him.
I know that we have these conversations over and over and over and over again. And the one thing I notice is that we can do a whole lot of talking, but we don't necessarily follow up on the conversations that we have.
Can I tell you what I tell my children? I have an 8-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter, and a 22-year-old son. With my 22-year-old son, I used to be all inclusive because I was in the church heavy. Like I said, their grandparents are doctors of Christianity, pastors, and both male and female. And we were taught, you know, the unified love version of who we are as a people. And my son is a darker hue than my other two children. They're lighter than both of us. We live in the Bronx, and they got caught. Well, he got particularly tortured by his dark skin. And I wasn't ready for this environment because I'm from the South, where even though we have those issues, it's not as blatant. Where I had to pay a lady who didn't want my son in her house, and she had him sitting outside. I worked in Queens, and she was a white Hispanic lady. So what I regret not telling him growing up was to be aware of the fact that people are going to hate you and they're programmed this way, and to always demand respect. I didn't even know this. Well, as a Black mom and dealing with Christian Black people, they don't teach you the war that's on your skin color in particular. This is something I had to learn from my light-skinned father calling me Blackie my entire life. And other people had to tell me that was very offensive, but it's a normal thing in our community because we're the most color struck. But that's another conversation. Now with my daughter, she's a lighter complected girl, and I felt very, she always was she got fought by a lot of darker skinned girls. And even with that, I had to make, my issue with her became in-house. And then with my youngest son, I teach him to always acknowledge other boys that look like him, Black boys, to say hello to them. I teach him to get up when he sees a Black girl. I teach him to acknowledge the women that look like him. My oldest son grew up in New York with me, you know, with us. I've been here for 22 years. Now my 8-year-old's a little different. I take him home on a regular basis. I leave him with my aunts that look like me, my cousins, my grandmother. That is the most important. Most of us are not around people who look like us all the time. My 8-year-old thought the lady was a man because of the fact that in our environment, we're seeing Hispanic white people that are very androgynous in their faces. We have a different energy and essence about us that we don't even expose our children to no more, especially when we get money. So I teach my children to always acknowledge and see each other. That is all it needs, I promise, with a respect and not with a judgment. My 8-year-old acknowledges everyone he sees that look like him. And my daughter does it too, only with the girls. My oldest, he don't want to hear that because he wasn't raised like that. And now he's walking mayonnaise people into my home. And I'm telling him it disturbs my peace, and he thinks I'm being angry. And so that becomes an issue in itself, where I had to let him see how we are under attack as women. And now he has more respect. I went through it for the last 2 years with my oldest because he doesn't understand what my new frame of mind is. But it's to protect my home.
So
it has nothing to do with
I would like to say what I tell my son. Please, may
of mayonnaise people is that that is the part of being clever. This young man, it just seems like, for instance, Jeffrey Dahmer lived in a Black neighborhood, and his house was thinking, and everybody, we thought he was just a nice white man. You get me? We are stuck in this syndrome that because if a black person moves into a predominantly white neighborhood, they're gonna know everything about you. They'll be going in your garbage to see what kind of magazines you buy, they're gonna know about you. We have been stuck in a syndrome that and I'm not saying this is true of all mayonnaise people, but I feel as if we have to keep our guard up, because the cleverness was that he was talking to a black man. He was talking to him about CRT and these other things, and given the vibe that there was no reason for this black man to be suspicious of him in any way. That is part of the cleverness of these killers, of these people. It is.
Now, let me tell you about these people.
We as a people have to begin, like you said, you tell your children to acknowledge and greet others.
Can I piggyback on what you're saying?
I want to go. Before you go, I want to go.
Is it okay if I say something really quick? Is it okay if I say something really quick? Because I am on my lunch break, actually. And I just want to just jump in. I'm so sorry not to cut everybody off, but I just want to say this. First of all, hey to everybody on the panel. Not that we can have an issue later because you showing up for the live here, but you ain't showing up for the bad boy reviews. But we'll talk about it later. I want to say, first of all, Miss Barbara is speaking facts today. We got to give credit what credit is due. We know Miss Barbara often saying, but today Miss Barbara is speaking facts. She is. What she is saying, she is on point. She is. But I came, like I said, I had a question, but now it done flipped because y'all talking some good stuff. But my thing is, do you see how like this conversation was about a white guy attacking us?
A mayonnaise.
And I'm sorry, a mayonnaise guy is attacking us melanated folks. But then we come with how we have so many issues in our community. Like we want to say, oh, we need to be prepared against these mayonnaise people. We need to do this and we need to do that. Which it is true. It is true. But as a mother of 2 black boys, I have to teach my black my melanated, I like that better, my melanated son to look out for white people and to look out for the people in his own community. Now, that is a jacked up conversation to have. You can tell your kids, because I know somebody said, what do we tell our children? We can tell our kids, look, I tell my kids all the time, my boys are 12 and 8 years old. And I have to tell them, when you're talking to a melanated person, you hold your head up and be confident in what you're saying. But then I also have to tell that same melanated boy that if you come against a boy that's whatever in the hood and trying to whatever, you got to protect yourself against them too. So it's kind of like, where if we cannot get our own shit together, our own community together, how are we going to come together and fight a war against the mayonnaise people when we have a war in our own? And it's not just more than one situation. We got colorism. We got men against women. We have the straights against the gays. We have so much shit going on in our own community. But then when the mayonnaise people come against us, we got so much to say. Black Lives Matter then. But when they over here, I'm in Duval County. When they over here on Moncrief and they shooting somebody up just because they want his shoes, why his black life don't matter? So my thing is what Miss Barbara is saying. Yeah, you're speaking facts. You are. What you're saying, yes, we can go after those mayonnaise people all day long. But at the end of the day, I saw somebody say in the comments, we're not even prepared to even go against these people because we ain't got our shit together. So how we're talking about oh, we need guns to arm ourselves when we're taking them same guns and shooting our own people for bullshit.
Can I please say
so
something?
How are we? I'm sorry, Ms. Barbara, I'm sorry, but how are we trying to fight against these mayonnaise people when we don't even have our own shit together? And it's so frustrating.
I am not in disagreement with anything that you have said.
It's very frustrating as like a black woman, and like I said, raising these boys, raising these men.
So let me ask you this question. Hold on.
But wait, conscious. Let me ask you this. What? I was gonna answer your last question because I felt like it didn't really get answered. because we started veering off into a bunch of different things. I just wanted to put this in as a black man on the panel saying this. This is how we protect ourselves. These white people or these mayonnaise people, they go through trainings. They go through since they're 9 years old, how to shoot, how to scout, how to do all these different things, how to land nav and all this stuff. That's the only chance that black people are going to have towards being ready and being able to react against something, because these Boy Scouts and these Eagle Scouts and all that translates into all this other stuff that they're doing now. And I mean, I know that there are black kids that are in that, but not too many. And as far as the training and stuff like that, yeah, black people, we get guns, but we don't know how to shoot these guns. We don't know how to aim these guns. We don't know how to sight in these guns. A lot of these things, like, they need to be taught. And yes, there is a militant masculine side to this that has to take place as well. And I'm gonna leave off with this. The only thing that I see wrong is that we had this with the new Black Panther Party, and again, look at what happened with that.
Okay, now let me, because you speaking of my great men, Black Panthers, let me check this world right now. You don't judge people by their color. You judge them by their righteousness. Everybody got to make a Holy Spirit decision of their God to make this world better. Mayonnaise people have been the only people on the face of this earth that have showed me love. You understand? We're going to stop all of this mayonnaise stuff. You understand? It's about the people that are godless and unrighteous. The godless, unrighteous ones is the ones that's destroying this world. The ones that don't have a God, that don't serve their God. All right? Mayonnaise people have been the only people that showed me love. I dare y'all sit here with this prejudice accusations. I teach my children, judge a person by their actions of love that they give.
Wait a minute, Miss Barbara, but I'm sorry, but you the same one that just got done saying how we gonna sue them people though. You just got done saying how I'm saying, because now you sitting here and protecting the mayonnaise people, but you just got done talking about how we finna war up against these motherfuckers.
Yeah,
so what side you on?
Make it make sense. Put your God in it. You're gonna have to separate the demons from the godliness. We're gonna sue this government, that whole county. Black people's gonna own that whole county because of the fact they didn't tag him. See, judges and lawyers,
they have their God and we have ours. That's the bottom line. You're serving their God.
Let me tell you a fact. Judges and lawyers upstate New York make their own laws. My whole page is dedicated to exposing them. So I'm telling you what I know. They were supposed to tag that child. He was never supposed to get a gun. So therefore, them black people gonna hear this message and sue that whole county.
Okay, can I speak for a moment?
Yeah, ladies here.
Hey guys. So I have a couple of things. I had 2 points, but I may have to add on one because of some of the stuff that was discussed. Let me start with the add-on. Number one, it never dawned on me. I don't know who was speaking in regards to they lived in the Bronx and they, talking about their family and and they mentioned colorism and coming from the South. I don't know who that was, but I've had conversations in regards to colorism, and I didn't think that it was a regional thing. And now I'm starting to think that maybe it's a regional thing, because sometimes when I'm speaking to someone from the South, they're really not understanding where I'm coming from. So I found that to be interesting. But number one, Miss Barbara, we are on a panel right now about a racist man who went into a store where 6 days after Mother's Day, little old black women buying their neck bones and killed them. You understand? And number one, that didn't even make sense to me until someone mentioned the whole why he chose to go to the store for the fear factor. Because I'm like, these women are not even procreating anymore. They have nothing to do with this whole replacement theory per se. Like, what are you doing? If that's your issue, then go to a basketball court. But see, that he went where they were unarmed, But to that point, I think that there needs to be a conversion when it comes to our street gangs as far as how to protect ourselves. I think that they need to start to
They're
understand.
gonna save the world. They're gonna save the world. We're gonna give them the economy. Just
Okay,
like
Miss Barbara, what she's saying is like the gang members in California are going to keep killing themselves and
no,
not
they're gonna save
unite
the world.
against
It's gonna
the
stop. They're gonna
mayonnaise
get
people.
the economic economy of
The
marijuana. They're
gang
gonna
members
save
in
the
New York
world.
aren't going to turn around and
They're
start banging
gonna
on
save
the
the
white people in
world.
New York.
Miss Barbara, quick question, Miss Barbara. How can the gang members save the world if they can't even save their own neighborhood?
Please let me explain. And God
I'm
name,
saying
please let me
if
explain.
gang members are still
Please let
killing
me
black
explain.
people,
When
how's
finish,
that
I'll
helping?
explain. Yiraka, because I'm gonna tell you how. Because I don't.
What is Yaka? What is that? I don't.
That's my Holy Spirit. I speak a different
Girl,
language.
stop playing. Girl, stop playing.
It just comes out. I don't make it up. That's my language I speak. I told you life is eternal. I've been here before. You understand me? Now I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna save this world. I done told y'all before.
Come through, Recon.
Can I just talk? Please, you asked me.
I'm sorry, Miss Barbara. I thought my mic was muted. I'm sorry. I thought my mic was muted.
Let me just say how the gang members are going to save the world. We're going to ask the President of the United States for the full control of the marijuana because they enslaved us in jail. That's why we have the right to sue them. See, they gave privileged people money. The United States government gave privileged people in the United States money to grow it, and then they gave our children to bring it across lines. See, before they start stealing our House of Preservation Development money, they used to use the gang members to support their wars. Now the gang members is going to support world peace because we're going to ask for the total control of marijuana and destroy all of the marijuana in the United States of America and only grow it in undeveloped countries. That's how we going to do it. Why? Because it's our civil right. Let me tell you something. All these rich people is going to lose all of their investments. You got to have a record to invest in marijuana. That's what we're going to demand. And our next president is going to give it. And gang members are going to be busy selling marijuana to countries throughout the world. United States.
Why does it have to be gang members?
Because they the one that destroyed the world. The drug cartels and the gang members. I've been on the internet for 6 years. The Holy Spirit put me on here to give this message. And that's all I talk and speak day and night. And I never wanted to be no minister of no revelation. What is a revelation? Existence of life. Don't go to no doctored Bible. Existence of life. It's going to take everybody making a Holy Spirit decision of their God to save this world. Don't judge nobody by their color. Judge them by their righteousness or the God that they serve.
They are in league with the drug.
But I got a question about that, Miss Barbara.
That are pushing weight. The drug dealers that are pushing weight are in league with the very people that you say are bringing drugs into the neighborhood. I'm agreeing with Knockout. I don't
but they gave us some drugs. I was there. I got legal documentation. We worked for the police department. They gave us them drugs, sweetheart. I was there.
No, that's not
necessarily true, Miss Barbara. When the Italians started
can I interject?
That it was okay to deal in drugs as long as they kept it in the niggas' neighborhoods.
Thank you.
That was when the mob started selling dope because they didn't want to touch it.
Let me make this point.
Sell it if you keep it in the niggas' neighborhoods.
Let me make this point. Let me make this point. So, do y'all know that in Afghanistan they have the largest poppy fields? They actually farm opium there. Okay, so you know during that time that there were operations that the United States had carried out to where they burned or took away all of this opium. Where do you think the opium went?
Had to go somewhere.
Had to go somewhere. So this is the thing is, Barbara, you're saying that the police station is handing it over. It's not the police station. It's literally the government that would be doing it. And you're talking about cartels.
All of them is government.
You're talking about cartels. Hold on. You're talking about cartels. I live in South Texas. I live right here by Mexico. You're talking about cartels. When the cartel comes up here, they're not coming up here to fraternize and to associate. They're coming up here to make money. They're coming up here to see who and how they can make their money.
They can move
stretch for them. They're not looking at, okay, I'm going to associate with this black person. I'm going to go to Chicago and then dump off this dope and then help them out. No, they're looking at it as if how can I get the most money? So they bring it to the communities where they feel like they can get the most money. They're not going to take it to the mayonnaise people because the mayonnaise people are going to find a way to make the ultimate money off of it. They're going to bring it to the black neighborhoods because these thousands of dollars that people are seeing, whereas the cartels are seeing millions of dollars at a time. That's the difference. Right. The cartels are actual organizations. The cartels are organizations. They're not gangs.
Conscious need to see dollars right now. Everybody need to bless
Barbara. I got this. Okay.
It's okay. You know,
I gotta tell it right.
We're having a far more important conversation than about sending me cash apps right now.
No, it's not, because if you're not supporting, we can't have these conversations.
It's fine.
It's okay.
The train running, okay. Who was speaking?
Knockout.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know where so
you were talking about the cartels coming into the country to move their product, and they're going to black neighborhoods.
Yes, to make the ultimate profit, because black people aren't going to make really they're going to see the little bit of money, whereas the cartel's going to see the whole lot of money. And that's a strategic plan. That's why they do that. I think the last point that I was making is that the cartels are actual organizations. These are structured organizations. They're not
like
gangs.
Wall Street, baby.
Right. These are not Crips and Bloods. These are actual organizations who are structured and very disciplined, extremely disciplined. And that's how
they're going to save the world. That's
no, exactly we're not cartels. We don't have cartels.
You're not cutting out of your mama. You're not listening to me, son.
Okay.
But you'll see it, because you got to understand, son. We're going to get the full control. See, the government is going to give us the marijuana to do the very things that they do with the heroin and everything else. Now it's not going to be heroin and not all that killing. It's going to be marijuana. They're going to use it medically. They're going to be growing. They're going to be fully control of it, so they can have world peace. They could be busy bagging.
Why is it marijuana that you're jumping to as the exponential product? We do have other things that make
baby
money.
I was on the tables, okay? Scarface ain't had nothing on me. All right, for the people I work for. Stop playing with me, son. I'm telling you.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
I'm telling you that we are going to save the world. We are
by
going
selling
to
kilos of illegal cocaine.
Marijuana is going to save the world.
Not really. Marijuana is not going to save the world. Marijuana can be depleted. Marijuana is
tell you how marijuana is going to save the world. You want to know how? Because just like those drug dealers supported all of the United States of America to support your wars, they try to assassinate, allegedly, I must say, for the YouTube, Ronald Reagan. Because we don't want to tell the story. Nancy had black kids saying, just say no, just say no. Reagan, I don't care. Y'all doing that. I'm going to tell, just say no. I know what I'm talking about, son. I work for the cartels. And
no,
what
you
happened
don't. You work for the cartels, but you're openly on YouTube saying that. There's no way. There's no way. I don't believe that. No,
you don't have to believe nothing,
Barbara, you don't work for no cartel. What cartel?
For the district attorney in New York City. My name is
what cartel did you work for?
Do your investigation.
What cartel? Do you speak Spanish?
For all of them that ran that heroin every move.
For all of the cartels.
I was behind
Spanish,
it, baby.
Barbara?
Why you think I was upstate New York for 30 years?
Barbara,
perdóname. Boy, you are already knocked out. Let me tell you how the cartels is going to save the world. Okay, we're going to get the.
So you don't speak Spanish, and you were supplying the
cartels. Can you please be quiet? You're not talking.
Gotcha.
You're trying to attack me.
No, go ahead, Miss Cartel.
I love it.
El Chapo.
Let me talk
I
now.
love it.
How we going to save the world? Understand me? We're going to destroy all. We're going to do like J. Edgar Hoover did. We're going to prove that the United States marijuana has altered it to diminish the minds of the youth. So therefore, we're going to sue them and take the control out of them. They got all kinds of strands.
Okay, how about we take personal responsibility for getting high? I don't do drugs. How about black people start taking responsibility for their actions?
I'm talking about how we going to save
not every black person smokes
bullshit. How about we start taking responsibility and stop playing the blame game?
Voice on swine. I'm not.
Yeah, let's stop playing the blame game. Okay, how about that?
For all the cartels. Barbara Montana, dog.
Yeah, my name is Barbara Coleman. Check with the district attorney of the United States of America. I'm not anonymous. Ha.
So let me say something to the whole speaking Spanish because it's funny. I had this conversation this morning.
Nigga, let me explain.
Miss Barbara, no.
It's threatening my life. Making a statement. I'm not gonna have nobody. Let me tell you something. They'll get a car. Get a man. I don't want nobody in a car to my snitching.
Ain't
no damn shit about snitching. Niggas try to take my life and my friend's life, and they got locked up. And they could have went underneath. All right, so they better be glad that they just got locked up, son. They killed my friend's son. Yeah, and I locked their ass up, son. Fuck you talking about? Excuse me, I ain't even mean to curse the blood of Jesus.
Now you do know that 5%ers do not call female son, don't you? I was just wondering if you knew that.
Who gives a what you talking about? I'm not gonna waste my voice.
Because you faking the funk right now. I'm from Chicago. I'm not from New York, and I know when they talk about son, they're talking about men. So miss me with your bullshit.
Listen, I'm talking to that man that made a statement across this stream. Okay, you need a cop. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, yo.
But man, I was the one talking.
I can look in the mirror and watch my mouth all day long.
Miss Barbara used to sell 100 kilos a week.
Hold on.
To Chicago.
Hold on. I want a lady to complete her statement.
So I'm out having my coffee and cigarette, the Breakfast of Champions. I'm talking to my neighbor, and I said, yeah, because I'm getting my great niece like kind of full time. So I'm like, yeah, I want her to have a Latina caregiver because I would like for her to speak only Spanish to her so she can learn a second language, right? And then so he was like, why? And I'm like, how are you out here in the street supposedly and don't speak Spanish? I literally had this conversation today. So it's funny that it's being reiterated today in this moment. The irony.
No Spanish. There's no way.
So I want to have a clear. I want to have a clear plan of action. What are y'all saying we need to do on the ground level, and what are y'all saying that we need to do in the upper room as it relates to government legislation?
Somebody needs to click mute because they got a lot of noise going on. I know that part.
Okay, can I run this joint? It's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. That's why I said something.
I was gonna get to it. People don't take kindly to orders from nobody else but the king. So it's okay. But Nico, Miss Nico. Can you hear me, love? Are you on mute? She might have stepped away. Oh, well, before we get to Miss Nico, Toots, welcome back to the platform.
Hey, boo.
Good morning. And before I even go any further, this is one of my amazing hair vendors, you guys. So you guys be drooling over that curly hair and that kinky straight. This is Toots, who I am the ambassador of her company. Toots Bundles. Can you shout out your business first, boo, and then also give your thoughts?
Okay, it's tootiesbundles.com, TOOTIEZ bundles.com. I'm actually currently now doing nail services as well. If you're around in the Gwinnett area of Georgia, you can go and follow me on IG at Tooties_bundles and Facebook Tooties Bundles. It's an online store. You can order anything you want and it'll be shipped out within 1 to 3 business days.
Period. Now, can you, and this black on, baby, so all
Okay.
y'all,
All right.
Support this black woman and help her hair be slaying, honey. And
I'm already on it.
Amen. Yes.
So, okay, but what are your thoughts on this whole situation regarding?
Okay, I had so many thoughts. Like I had so many questions at the beginning, and I was like, time I remember or forget the question or whatever. But I asked you in the chat, was it a predominantly like Black community or was it like suburbs, like a little mixture or whatever? Because the question was at first when I heard the story, it was like ain't no way in the hell he would have came to the hood and thought he'd have been able to pop. He would have got popped back. So that was my first thought. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Then I didn't understand how, you know, they try to paint a narrative that, you know, he probably mental. Ain't no mental about driving 200 miles just to go shoot a bunch of black people. That makes sense.
That's right.
And then my last question, because everything that I was thinking about got so, you know, messed up. I thought about what Miss Barbara was saying about suing. I get what she's saying, but I don't understand how is that going to be effective when they did show a case like what last year or the beginning of this year about the USA what they was held accountable for genocide towards our people. So if that happened, but ain't nothing happened to make it better, how is it gonna work if we do the suing? Because every time when we do what we're supposed to do the paperwork and move forward, and it's like a slap in our face. We never get no justice, no respirations, no nothing.
I would love to have the opportunity to answer your question if Constance.
Go, Ms. Barbara. Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is how, you know, the question. Ask me the question again, love, because I'm so excited.
You know how they proved that USA did.
You said, how are we going to operate this world peace, right? What is the solution? How are we going to keep ourselves safe? Money talks, the rest walks. Let me tell you how we want to do this. The same way we supported trillions of dollars to support these wars, we are going to support the world. We are going to have all of the United States marijuana destroyed and only have it grown in undeveloped places like Cuba, China, Haiti, everybody that's starving. And United States is going to have to buy from them. Our civil rights is going to demand that. We're not going to march. They don't care. You can march until your feet fall off. You have to sue the signature. We got to bring it before the United Nations and the Supreme Court and demand, if not a civil war. And we have to ask other countries to help us with our civil war, because ain't nobody playing. We tired of dying just because you got my color, you not me. See, they got the black people brainwashed to put a nail in their own coffin. The Democrats are killing us. They not giving us no money. They taking out all of our businesses to other countries. We have no economic economy. Why do you think privileged people was at the Capitol? Privileged people. These people that was at the Capitol made over $100,000 a year, but they looked at their kids and said, what are they going to make? And where are they going to be? You understand me? So
I hear you with somewhat of it, but I also understand as well that, you know, how I want to say this.
Say it.
I think it piggyback off of I think Knockoff brought up a point. Hold on, let me see how I want to say it.
Speak your mind.
So when those people did go to the Capitol or whatever, and they did what they did, all they got was like a slap on their wrist. He didn't say this, but I'm saying this myself. Okay, so if we go and do certain things, we always get the end of the stick.
They would have been shooting like that boy.
Hold on one second. Just like when you brought up the idea about the weed going to the Asians and all that stuff. How was Joe Biden able to create this bill for Asian hate? But we can never get a law for that at all.
This thing right here, this thing
so
right
that don't
here.
make any sense.
I'm not playing with you. No, I'm sorry.
A Toots is having a cold convo with you, and you ain't even present. You gotta
no, because this thing right
here
is about my life.
Okay, Miss Barbara, listen.
It's okay, Conscious.
No, I love you, baby. I'm sorry. He just really, you know, made me upset.
Go ahead, Toots. Miss Barbara.
Baby.
But yeah, like that pass a law like that, you know, just like now, I'm probably not gonna be voting anyway, no time soon, because it doesn't really matter half of the time. Like, I understand people might not agree
Please
with.
Don't do that. Too many people died for your vote. Don't do that. Too many people died for your vote.
But I just leave that alone. But like I'm saying, like we can't even get laws for us. They sending money all the way over there for the war and all this stuff like that. But we can't even get simple stuff set in line for us. And when we just try to do that, it either get pushed back or they put their own negative stuff into it just to pass the bill. So like say for instance, let's say if they want to legalize marijuana, then there's something else that they got to put against us to like bring us back down to where we need to be for them. Because that's
No. We not weak like that. We strong. We change laws. Laws are made to be changed. You wasn't ready to. They didn't let you just sit on the bus. You understand? We had to.
Thank you, Jordana.
We had to fight. We had to fight to sit on that bus. Laws are made to be changed. Y'all stop being scared. See, they got us ununited. You understand? They don't give us
white
lawyers.
folks are going to show up at the polls.
NAACP is going to get sued because they don't give us lawyers to fight for our civil rights. We're going to get our affirmative action restored. Too many people died for that. Yeah, we're going to never feel just because you get that affirmative action that you didn't earn it because your descendants died for that. We're going to get the fair housing.
But when are we going to stop holding on to those old things back in when I say around my grandparents' age, because my grandparents in their 70s, 80s, 90s, baby boomers, when is we going to stop holding on to something that's been taught to them and then it's just taught down and passed down instead of making a real difference and doing something different instead of the same? Just like if you look at the government, ain't nobody in there but like 80-year-old, 70-year-old people. You have nobody like 35 or 40 that's well versed on both sides, the past, the future, and the present.
We absolutely do have people those ages, and they are our color. The thing is, right now, bills have to go through Congress. Congress passes something because the Democrats hold the majority. They passed John Lewis Voting Rights Act. They passed the Voting Rights Act. When it went to the Senate, it was defeated because 2 Democrats, first of all, wouldn't vote to get rid of the filibuster. We have 2 Democrats that do whatever. They lay their bodies across the railroad tracks for the Republican donors. So we can't depend on them to vote. They won't get rid of the filibuster. It's not for lack of trying. And you might say that all of the old things didn't work, but it got us to where we are today.
No, I'm not saying it didn't work, but I'm just saying
young people are out there. They're very, like yourself, they're very articulate. The reason I vote is because I remember when my mother and father got shit and got old fruit and stuff thrown on them. I was about 2 years old. And I remember the fear I felt thinking somebody's going to hurt my parents.
That's right.
We had Black folks assassinated right at their homes. Everything we get in this country is by bloodshed. So right now, we cannot stop. We cannot stop. We have to vote because I tell you, this mayonnaise supremacy thing, that's what this whole hoopla is about. They are afraid because in the last census, it showed that their numbers of population had dropped. Black people's populations had gone up. We having babies. Hispanics and Latinos, we having babies. Asians are having babies. White folks got the fear in them because they saw that their population has got their numbers are going down. Hence, they feel like they'll no longer be able to be on top. Well, they all call themselves Christians, but I do believe there's a scripture that says the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So this is a natural thing. They are afraid. That's why they're passing these abortion laws that say even under rape, even under incest, you will be criminalized if you try to get rid of a white baby. The Supreme Court itself, Alito said that pretty much that there's a lack of white babies, mayonnaise babies to be adopted. So that tells you right there where they stand. They're saying they're babies that could need to be adopted, but they aren't mayonnaise children that need to be adopted. We gonna keep they need to be careful what they ask for because we gonna keep on having babies. And you're right, Atlantic Creole. We do need to run for office. We need to get in this. We need to dig in right now, dig in hard. And I know that truthfully that we can't expect any mayonnaise person to protect us. But there are ways that we can keep our foot up the ass in order for them to find, because the day will come when they just have to yield. But we have to dig in, and we have to vote for those that are at least trying to get something through Congress, through the Senate, because that's where everything is getting blocked right now, in the Senate.
But can I ask you a question? So, like, with what you're saying, all right, I want to hear your opinion of where do we go from now when we start, or the organizing to get that to happen, to be possible. And that's my last question. I'm just gonna wait.
I'm sorry. Could you ask it again, please?
I said, what is a start of what you're just saying? How we can begin to like have the conversation or get it out there to make it understanding for all ages, all around, you know, so that way we can have a better, not just understanding about it. You know what I'm saying? And then that's my last question, and then I'll sit and listen. And if I have any more questions, I'll ask y'all.
I feel that there are a number of Corey. Let's take. I know her name and I see her face. She's a fierce Black woman. Cori Bush. Cori Bush is down. Okay, she is down for her people. They are the ones that have to get out and put the messaging out. Women like her, women like the Black women that are in there now, they are doing their best to get out and get the message out. With our people, it just breaks my heart that we have all of this inner disagreement, this inner fighting, this inner finger pointing. We keep talking about how we can't get together. But if we continue to rail on about what somebody isn't doing within the community, rather than looking at the bigger fucking picture. Do you think every Jew agrees with they fight like cats and dogs, but when it's time for them to do something for their community, they put that aside. Hispanics, Koreans, they all came to this country and they created neighborhoods for themselves. Why? Because they could see the bigger picture. We can't say that we can't come together if we don't start acting like we see the big picture and truly come together. We can discuss what we don't like about each other behind, we can air our dirty laundry to each other, but we must come to the understanding that in order for anything to happen, it's going to take all of us. Together.
The example of what you were saying is right on this panel. Look how Knockout tried to degrade me, talking about my story is not true and all of that. The crabs in the barrel, the fighting, the confusion. First of all, what they did, they separated us. They sectioned us off with Section 8, so they could divide us so we can't unite. That's why we got to unite with signatures. We got the internet. We need the signatures to sue, to bring it before the court.
It's not a waste of time, baby.
Say if we do get those communities, right? We do get those communities for us, just like the other ones do, but they still allowing the white supremacy people to come in and do stuff to us.
And what can we do in our communities? They're able to come in because a lot of times we're not doing anything to keep the community whole.
Just that simple. Just that simple. Make a whole. Don't see nobody starving. Don't see nobody without clothes. Help somebody get a job. It's just that simple. Stop throwing away food because your neighbor's hungry. If you see a senior citizen in your building, send your child over there and get a blessing from God.
You're right.
My mommy said, "Do you need some food?" My mommy said, "Can you please take a plate of food from us?" No, baby, I don't eat for nobody. And then the mama go, "Sweetheart, I love you. No, I'm a clean cook. Don't throw away them clothes. Make them feel like they're doing you a favor by taking them. Baby, please. You see somebody, baby, please. I'm tired of my money going to the garbage can. Your children are my baby size. Please take these clothes." And you know what I mean?
There's a group of Black people who started their own town in Georgia. They bought hundreds of acres of land. And they are building homes. It is called, I think, in Freedomville or Freedom Town.
Oh, I want to move
Black
there.
people have bought that land, and they're creating. They have a name. They are creating homes and jobs. They're doing everything that they can do. The acquisition.
Be ready. We're going to be ready with guns and a lot of military equipment when they want to come and try to take us down. See, the way they took Black Wall Street down, they used our government planes because they was in the war. So they had all of that military equipment. We're going to be strapped up. We're going to have a zoo in front of us. We're going to have our racks with bombs on them. And we're going to go underground because our God never wanted us to use our body for war. That's why we got all these.
Let me tell you what happened in Georgia.
Girl, just imagine a war. Listen to me, y'all. Okay, now imagine this. If each house that we live in these new communities that we're going to build up, we build an underground tunnel for when people want to try to come destroy us. And then we let out all of our rats and pigeons and animals to drop bombs on these people. Tear they behind up, child, please.
Let me tell you what happened when the KKK and one of these groups were going to come and have a march. One of the most beautiful things I saw was all of these Black folks armed. They came out. It was hundreds of us armed out there. And they may have shown up, but they didn't come to, we let them know that you're going to have to bring some to get some. It was a united front that day. And we had weapons of all kinds on that day. So we must understand that this is a physical war. I've heard Conscious say that we may have to tear down the whole construct, the whole thing, and rebuild. We must see that it cannot be done. And Oz, you were right. There is so much division among us that we just can't seem. We just can't seem to get it together. We won't get together if we keep focusing on our differences within the community. We won't ever come together. And that really starts with us. It starts with us.
So I got to ask y'all this question because I do have to wrap shortly, but I wanted to ask you guys. So and first of all, this was an amazing dialogue and so many great points was made. It's Barbara, Nico, Knockout, UJ, Lady T, Toots, etc. Everybody who came up, Shamika. So this idea of an external enemy versus an internal enemy, do y'all believe that one has to be overcame first to overcome the other, or can we overcome our external enemies without having to overcome the internal one? Because some people were saying that we need to put our differences aside and unite, put them aside, put them inside. Do y'all think that there's a connection between the inner enemy and the outer enemy at this point, or that these are two separate issues? And maybe that's more of a spiritual, maybe that has a spiritual connotation to it as well. In terms
of it does. And that's why the inner is so important. And that's why it hasn't, happened yet, because we haven't done that inner thing yet. We haven't really came up with the, I don't know if the right word is compromise, but we haven't, or our manifesto.
That's a good word, yeah.
What is the plan? Like, what is the plan? You know what I mean? And until we figure that part out, and the thing about it is it seemingly seems like we're running out of time. You know what I mean? Because us not having it together is not stopping anybody from the outer from coming.
That's right. That's right. I think that they are two separate issues, and somehow there is a connection. We have endured in this land. We built this country. Our inner,
and we didn't come from underneath us.
We somehow, though, we don't seem to understand, or we can't seem to get over our differences within the community to come to the deeper understanding that this is going to require us coming together as a force to be reckoned with. And we cannot be that force if we continue to separate ourselves. They're not worried about us not voting because they told us our vote didn't count. Well, white folks show up at the polls and they depend on us not to, because when we do vote and numbers too large to be fucked with, shit does change. It does change. Oz, I keep going back to what Oz said. There is so much division within us. We have blacks against gay folks, the LGBTQIA community. We have women, it seems like fighting against men. We're fighting each other. We have young gang members out there killing and shooting people who look like them. We're just so scattered and so poisoned by what the supremacists have placed within us that we seem to forget the power that we have, not just physically, but spiritually. We won't succeed if we don't cease ignoring those things that we mad about with each other. We have to see the bigger picture. We have those women, those grandmas, those people who are just going to the supermarket, little ladies who have long past having children. But in his mind, it didn't fucking matter. They were black and they had to be extinguished. We know what they're doing because we see it every day. We know what they are doing. We have to do what we must do for ourselves to protect our communities, our babies. And we won't do it if we keep talking about what we don't like about each other, or what we keep fighting about what we don't like about each other. We just gotta lay that shit aside and understand that it means being prepared with your arms. It means being prepared with whatever you need to be prepared with. But this is a very real physical, because we're fighting against people who have no connection. How dare they politicize God? How dare they say they use God to justify the extinguishing of God's creation? We are the power, and we won't. We just have to keep at it. We have to keep at it, and we have to come together, please. Please. We talk and then we don't do shit.
She said,
and even though people have Zoria, even though a community has division, they know how to put that division aside when it's time for them to build there was a woman here in Georgia, a Hispanic woman who was a builder. She wanted to get a loan. She tried getting loans from the banks. When she couldn't get loans, what did she do? The community came together and they opened up their own fucking bank. We have now a bank, a black bank, that is asking us to join them to invest in this bank, to put some of your money in that bank. There's steps we can take. We just have to be willing to stop the bullshit amongst us and understand that if we don't, then we I don't even want to say it. If we don't, we're done.
My question is, how come we can't come to a consensus about what needs to be that is the part. Yeah. What are they doing to where, without it even being a town hall meeting, they know these are the moves? There's a step missing somewhere.
It's called training.
They know they are white. and you are black and you are the enemy. And it begins in a
It's
household.
called training.
Yep.
Can you elaborate?
I will elaborate on that. You have a lot of black people talking about getting weaponed up and this and that and thus and so.
Mm-hmm.
But what about your training and how to properly use those firearms?
All of that.
You see what I'm saying? Lack of training. Now, when it comes to that, in my case, I'm just speaking about me. This ain't no, black folk. I'm just speaking about me. Okay. Myself, my son, and my daughter, we're all combat veterans. We know exactly how to do what we need to do if we're in a situation and we have to use a rifle or a handgun.
I don't know karate, but I know Kareza. I don't know karate, but I know Kareza. I'm just shooting crazy.
Now, we know exactly what to do, and it's not like, we go to the range or whatever as a family. I feel like going to a range. I go out there, I let some go. My son, my daughter, same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we know the repercussions that come behind that. And we also know for a fact, a lot of people romanticize that. No one knows exactly what they're going to do. When you're looking down a barrel of a firearm and you have to squeeze that trigger, some people freeze up because their moral compass kicks in. If I take a life, then what's going to happen? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that part. See, now you could train people up to the hilt, but when it comes down to the moment of you got to pull that trigger.
Yep.
That's a whole different life experience. It's a whole different life experience. So, it's a lot of this stuff going on. People need to
my father.
We need to have weapon familiar, be familiar with the weapons that we're using and be comfortable with them.
Hey, can I
what it is.
Right.
Can I piggyback off of what you're saying? So, you know how that desensitization comes from is a lot of it has to do with hunting as well. So you can imagine if you're going out hunting with your grandpa, your uncle, your dad from when you're 3-4 years old and you're going through that for years. I'm not saying an animal equates to a human being, but taking a life and seeing something go limp and fall and all that stuff, that absolutely has a big part to play in it as well.
Yeah, that plays a big part because I had a situation when I was in Iraq, and this guy, we called him PK because he's a preacher's kid. We came under fire. His moral compass went one way. My moral compass went the other way because I was like, I have a son I need to get home to. So you could sit there and whatever. This is after the fact. This is not during a firefight. And later, I'm sitting here like, okay. I'm like, well, you just discovered something about me. Taking a human life is like a girl losing a virginity. It only hurts the first time. And that's my reality. Now, I don't suggest that for anyone else to have to cope with and deal with that reality in their life. But that's my reality. And, that's it at the end of the day, because I'm going to be here. I got stuff to do with
that's the problem of this world. That's the problem of this world.
Well, you're the one talking about I was in every cartel. Can I speak for a minute without being disturbed?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now, if we start going to ranges, becoming familiar with the weapons that we're using and know how to adequately fire said weapons, you'll be more prepared just in case you find yourself in said situation. It's all about training. Now, nobody can doggone predict what someone would do in a particular situation, but people fall back on their training. The best example of that is the Buffalo shooting. The police officer, well, the former police officer that was working security, that was armed, he fell back on his law enforcement training, which caused him to aim center mass to doggone take the person with the firearm down. The person had on body armor. So that's what you don't do. Okay, you have to do this thing, what we're taught in the military, which is called adjust fire. He wasn't trained to adjust fire. And I hate the fact that, you know, all of those people were killed by some little 18-year-old lunatic that couldn't get his meat wet and want to blame that on Black America. Because there's a whole lot of blame gaming going on. Everybody want to blame everything on everybody else. It's like, when are we going to start taking responsibility? If you fucked up, you fucked up. That's your reason you fucked up. Stop playing the blame game, especially when it comes to white people. Especially that, because anyone that lives in Georgia, which is
we use a different word. We use the word mayonnaise.
Stop trying to excuse me. Can I speak?
I'm telling you, no. Yes, you know you can't. Don't say that. You got to use a different word, mayonnaise.
Okay. If the host did not tell me that,
well, I'm telling you. I'm telling you because he's told us
you hold
that.
no weight in this conversation.
He told us that.
I've been on here before. Conscious says, Leonard.
Hey,
please,
everybody.
You know,
it's mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Okay, since you say it, I will utilize your word. You're the person in charge. This is your panel.
I do have to wrap the show up, so I want you guys to be able to sound off on y'all a final point.
Thank you, because I keep falling asleep, keep talking.
Hush, Miss Barbara. Don't.
Yeah, okay, that's because you in every cartel and you ghetto as fuck, and I'm not. Okay.
Yeah, I am, and I'm ready too.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Cam up and show the Benz you drive. I cam up in all my videos driving my Benz. Hello.
I did not.
Hello.
I did not say that we about to conclude the show for y'all to go into a fight. Okay. Can we continue on? Can we continue on in our final thoughts? Conclude, Leonard.
Thank you, Jesus.
All right. Well, my final thought is this, and I'm gonna make it real short and real quick. We need to get trained up in the utilization of firearms. Whereas if you find yourself in a precarious situation, at least you know what to do with that weapon if you find that yourself in that situation, opposed to I don't know. Well, I would do, no.
That Cash App must look good. You got a Benz. Wow. Oh, you really gonna hit.
What you mean Cash App, baby? I'm a doggone 100%. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, baby. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, baby. I'm getting mine from this country I love, and I'm a Black Republican.
Leonard, out of respect.
What the cartel giving you?
Leonard.
All right, Conscious. I'm gonna chill out. A video will be coming a little bit later. You'll see it.
Out of respect for me, can you disengage from Ms. Barbara? Thank you.
I will disengage.
Anybody else on the panel have any final thoughts before?
I do, boo. I do, boo.
Do us like you do us one at a time. I want to have my final thought, please.
Okay, Nico. Nico?
What I wanted to say to the evolution of what we're facing is what a lot of us, I'm walking from the store, sorry guys. What we're not realizing is a lot of places like Harlem was one of the first ghettos in the Black community, and it changed the mindset. What I was speaking on earlier was the small things I see after leaving the South. A lot of Black people don't even want to be associated with me in New York because I look really African, and they want most of their friends to look Hispanic or white, even their children. One day I dropped my son's bottle. He's 8. That was a long time ago. And a whole bunch of people sat and they didn't say anything. I watch other women drop things all the time, and Black men have hurt themselves to pick it up for them. They don't even acknowledge me when I walk in a space, but they'll call a Muslim man bruh. They'll call Spanish people bruh. Even these girls, when I was in Brooklyn, young ladies, they say, oh, she must be from Africa. Look at how she looks. we're even changing our phenotype. That's why if you understand biological warfare, our alleles are being deleted through a lot of this integration. While people that come from Harlem and New York are always speaking on behalf of these people. So we should expect them to do that. We should understand why they're doing that and remain unbothered, because I only see Black people when I walk out my house, even in New York, even in California, even in Mexico. That's just what it is for me, unapologetically.
I'm confused because that's not my experience as far as Harlem is concerned, and I'm not even talking about since gentrification. When I would walk out, I always saw all sorts of people. It was a lot of Black people, yeah, but I always saw all sorts of people. And at first, before we moved, like before we went to from Midtown Hell's Kitchen, before when we were living there, when we moved initially to Harlem, because I'm third generation Harlem, right? They were affluent, you know, it deteriorated, but it was pretty
true. That's why they got attacked the hardest, because of Marcus Garvey. You understand? So that's when we're talking about participating in their political government. This is what they've been doing to us. They've given we take Harlem and they take it back through their.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, and then they change the mindset of the people by giving them a certain level of wealth that's not allotted to us in the South, because we don't even have the social media. So then it's like we get disconnected and we don't even see each other. It's so weird how we are in like urban areas. And if anybody understands, like they have a program called the Charitable Organizational Society, and that was one of the first programs that Europeans, mayonnaise people created. And their memo is basically there's no such thing as grounded people in urban areas. They overstand that they're creating chaos in urban areas. They do. And they have so many. If you just Google Charitable Organizational Society and go from there, these are all counseling programs, social work programs that work with our children in urban areas. The fake counseling, the fake, keep talking about mental health. All these things are being implemented on us through these programs, especially in urban areas. And then they're more wealthy because they have a different access due to these contracts. The contracts go bigger than rappers. It's even from the people in the church. They're signing up a contract for chaos. And the only way you're going to be able to get wealth is by participating in chaos. A lot of us won't acknowledge that first.
True too. Miss Barbara.
Yes, I have the answer to the world peace. I was put on the internet by the Holy Spirit. I've been on the internet for 6 years. And I seen somebody said they love me. That was very nice. I be on a lot of panels, but you will know this. I would not be wasting my time on swine no more. I will only be on kings and queen panels from now on. You have to fight for the right. All we got to do is sue, because we already did all the marching and everything. The laws are already on the books that they are overlooking. We got to make sure we implant affirmative action back in place. What is affirmative action? That means my little Black, little penniless self get the job before you. You understand me? Start utilizing your benefits, and you're not car. That's it. Thank you. And go to my page. It's about world peace. If you're not a king and a queen, you will not understand my page. You are separate. You did not come from underneath a slave ship. You was already in America, and they killed you in your own land and enslaved you in your own land and labeled you African and American. I'm telling you, you don't got their DNA. I'm telling you, you don't got their DNA. Thank you.
As someone who just took the ancestry and the African ancestry test, and I got a lot of pushback about them not being authentic, I will say it gave me the space to kind of do some work. And on ancestry, they give you access to legal documents like that's in the Federal Reserve. And I found through paper trail that my maternal grandmother, my grandmother's mom was Choctaw Indian. And she got pushed out of her Choctaw reservation. If you look on the internet right now, they're all mayonnaise people. Come on, go across. And so yeah, it's like the man that she married was an African. They had 13 children together. She always told her children that, she came off of a reservation. But if you don't have the $5 paper to prove it, then that's what it is. So yeah, that could be an argument in itself. But the bottom line is the reason why, hi Becca, they test us is to see how old our genetics run. We have the oldest DNA. This geographical stuff is like all divisive in itself when it comes to culture and ethics. The bottom line is we're the oldest beings on this planet, and we need to act like it.
All I have to say is that I'm sick of it. There were killings in California and Texas and in Maryland, as well as in Buffalo. I'm sick of it. I will not move in fear, because that is ultimately how these mayonnaise people want us to move. They don't. They want us to be afraid. I refuse. I am sick of us arguing amongst ourselves and pointing fingers and always talking about what somebody else is going to do for us when we have the power to do it for ourselves. We just have to get the fortitude and the determination that is what we are going to do. I am sick of us being hunted down and shot like animals. I'm sick of it.
Mercy, may I just say one thing?
Last thing, put the nail in for me. I'm sick of it. We must understand that we have the power, and that the only way that it's going to come together and like the Borg or whatever is when we understand that and put our differences about each other aside and use the power that we have. We've always shed blood for anything and everything. And so because of that, we stand on the shoulders of giants, true kings and queens. And we just need to begin to act like it. We are not a helpless. We are the biggest consumers of other people's shit in these United States.
Yes, yes.
So for me, I'm just sick of it. You don't have to vote, but I'm going to vote, because at some point, enough of us voting is going to make a difference in the lives of everyone who did not. So that's what my parting words, that I'm sick of it.
Yeah, please,
we must come together, people, y'all.
Please, may I say one thing, Constance, please, because the Holy Spirit is tearing me up.
And maybe this is the last point, because I got to
wrap. Right, this is the very last point. And the Holy Spirit is telling me to say this. I want to pay $20 a month because I want to be the top supporter. And then we're going to have $10 and $5 a month. I want to be crowned. You understand? I want to support this panel. And I've been telling you this message too long. I'm going to keep saying it.
Amen. I receive it, Miss Barbara. Anybody else? A final words before we bounce out? That's it.
It's been real. I appreciate so much content.
Part 2, child.
We need to homeschool our children.
Yes.
That's why I want them to get them cash apps and them things, support this panel every month. I go on Evil Demons. They got all of this. I want you only.
Okay, Ms. Barbara, I receive it. I thank
you.
I thank you
don't
all.
Procrastinate. Do not procrastinate. You didn't get 33 for nothing.
I got it, babes. We in the hood. We doing good in this.
And my YouTube channel is Jace Harnage, JaceHarnage. I am looking forward to having Conscious come over. And we are going to continue these kinds of conversations.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I want my face on there to shout out my channel too.
Y'all need to stay in love, do all of your spiritual warfare, your witchcraft, send healing into the world.
And I want to shout out my page, because from the very beginning, it's about world peace. My page is about world peace. Our descendants already died. We don't have to march. All we got to do is make a Holy Spirit decision to save this world. Don't judge anybody by the color of their skin. Judge them by the actions of their righteousness. You understand me? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. I love you all to death. I got to get out of here. I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you for having me, Conscious.
Absolutely, but I'm gonna send you a message
Yeah, we'll work it out. I've had some surgeries. The last one was yesterday, so we'll get together on a date.
Okay, boo. I'm gonna message you today.
Okay.
All right, love. So I appreciate you guys. Mr. Grendron, hope you definitely I hope you have many long days in prison. I actually prefer that over the death penalty for you. I think it's more convicting and agonizing for you to live with what you've done to the lives of innocent people, and not just the people who lost their lives, but the people who have to live with witnessing other people lose their lives, and people who having to deal with the trauma of having someone shoot through windows and glass and run under their tables and into bathroom stalls. I mean, this really was very reminiscent of the nightclub Post in Florida, that mass shooting. Brutal and wicked. To mayonnaise families all around the country, you might not be raising your mayonnaise children to be inherently racist, etc. But we're gonna need you guys to do some super duper parenting, even if that means keeping these goddamn kids of y'all's off the goddamn internet until they grown and can afford to be, because they're in these weirdo ass groups and in these dark spaces of the web being indoctrinated against your real and unbeknownst to them. And I say that to all parents across the board. Black families, I almost feel like the internet needs to be reserved for grown adults. So even though we're living in the edgy age and the internet is accessible, etc., y'all can still get these babies flip phones. Y'all can still force them to utilize house phones. They don't have to have cell phones, and they don't necessarily have to have access to the internet recreationally. If they have to be on that bitch for schoolwork and research purposes, etc., those things can definitely be facilitated, but they actually don't need any other motherfucking access. I think that the internet is just as deadly of a damn weapon as a gun, as driving without a license, and driving without experience, girl. Being on this motherfucker can lead to just as much recklessness. I think that there need to be some deeper studies into what's going on in the psyche of mayonnaise America. These domestic terroristic attacks are deep-rooted, and I'm tired of press conferences. I'm tired of these tired-ass address the nation-ass speeches from dry-ass Kamala and dry-ass Biden, and I don't want to see another fucking president. I want to see some real research and some real pressure applied to what's going on with mayonnaise America. Mayonnaise folk are dangerous and becoming more fucking dangerous and more fucking unhinged. Especially as they exist in a time where they actually have to treat black and brown folk like equals, and we get to be their goddamn bosses, and we get to run the motherfucking country, or at least pretend to. Shout out to Obama. And this gonna trigger up all type of ancient demons in this country. Shit that's unhealed. Black and brown folk, we got work to fucking do, and we gonna have to walk and chew gum at the same time. We're going to have to heal within and also subdue our open enemies. There's definitely never any question as to the enemies that exist within us and without us. So we got the burden of doing both. I'm hopeful though, and as long as I see both realities, I'm going to stay hopeful. We definitely need infrastructure, and we can do that. Inspiring our children to get into politics, inspiring them to get into coding, inspiring them to get into STEM research, inspiring them, motivating them to assume positions of authority and power that can be effective in controlling communities. And I also like the thought of us training our children to be of a warrior class and to have the means to protect themselves, to live off the earth, to grow gardens, to know how to shoot effectively, aim effectively, almost a military style upbringing in some ways. I think Black people, we got to get on our business. Our lives are not a joke. We need to seriously take our lives seriously. We need to seriously be cultivating these spaces within our homes and within our communities. Pressure needs to be applied to Black churches to start teaching and talking some other shit aside from Noah's Ark and Noah's Flood. The church needs to be talking about social economic empowerment. The church needs to be a place of life education and not just a repetitive fucking repeat of fucking biblical stories that we all have all heard 101 goddamn times. I can't hear that shit enough either. It's just time to get our business, Black folk, both on the ground level and top of it. We just got to do it. And to those who ain't about that life and those who want to be distractors, fuck them and leave them. 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 I think we got to continue to just find allyship where we can and build our own individual coalitions and oasis of hope. We got to do that. Let this Buffalo shooting be a prime example of why there is a need to build the warrior class, because we're going to need it. I keep saying it over and over and over again. Yes, let's resurrect Black wealth and Black business and Black Wall Street, but we also need to develop the means to protect that social economic empowerment as well. We need the means to I'm talking about literally protect it, physically protect it, because we will have to physically protect it, just like we unfortunately didn't do for Greenwood and Black Wall Street. But I got to get out of here. I'll be coming to you guys a little later with some pop culture commentary. I'm going to take me a little nappity nap and then wake back up and get with it. Please make sure to subscribe and share and thumbs up. Thank you to all of the amazing panelists who came through and did their thing and contributed to this conversation. I could not do this without you guys. And I really appreciate you all. And I will see you all in the next upload. Peace.